There we go. All right. So where we left off, you are on the deck of the Sevastopol with the Imperial Sergeant Bara and Xenozoologist Karina with you, and the Delans Cap Finn, two temporarily docile Elithomorphs and Stargoyle. You were heading southeast with the intent of either, and I think you guys had actually settled on one, I just didn't make a note of it, of either dropping the Elithomorphs into the sea or going across the Caliodoran over Vabi, and then dropping them into Vabi. So you guys can figure out what you want to do there, but let me go ahead and move us back.
Weren't we going to go to Vabi?
I think we weren't going to go to Vabi. We were going to bring them to the edge of where the soldiers were around the fort and just fucking plop them off.
Oh, okay. So not even into Vabi, but specifically to the where the Crow Fort is, and drop them right by the Crow Fort?
Outside of it, just to start some panic.
Sure. I mean, it's fine to me. Whatever you guys want to do. I mean, it's not my concern.
I mean, Sarah's just over here half drunk and surprised she's alive, so I'm good with whatever plan we got, guys.
There's still some shell shock on Sarah for almost falling off.
Yeah, dude, she survived fighting those things and almost died just falling off a broom. I mean,
do we have time to do a full rest or anything at this point, or are we on our way? Like, what's the time frame we have?
It is
short rest.
Yeah, it is 2:20 in the afternoon. You guys slept when you woke up from your long rest at like 6 a.m. So, I mean, it has been some time, not a full 24 hours yet. You wouldn't be able to get the benefit of a long rest yet.
Didn't we wake up super early, though? Because we were going in the dark. Was that?
Yeah. I was thinking around 6, but it may have been earlier than that. Let me look back at my notes real quick here. That music's a little loud. Let me turn that down.
So I'm hurting. I think we're all hurting right now.
Yeah. I think I have one spell slot left, and it's a first level.
It's been a real long day for everybody. Let's see. That would be before there. Oh, it was the end of the last arc. Oops. The time at the end of that session.
We still have to get you back to some sort of magical training thing, to a tower or something.
I mean, if I can get there early, it's fine. If not, I'm not worried about it. I've got a little bit. It's fine.
We could always work on your magic.
That was yesterday morning.
You want help training it? I'll do what I can.
You know, I haven't checked my scroll in a while.
You actually did. You checked it. You checked it yesterday morning. So I was thinking that the battle with the Legion was this morning. It wasn't. It was yesterday morning. You guys got there a day early. Well, basically the last day that you could, which was Wine Day, and today is Thane's Day. So you guys, it's been 36 hours or so since that time.
I'm gonna go for a nap.
You have slept since then. Let me be clear. You guys didn't sleep at all since then. But yes, I mean, you obviously have earned one. But you guys slept when you were at the Crow Fort, so you have some time since.
How long is do we know how far we are from where we're going?
Well, so it depends. I initially thought you guys were heading southeast to cross the Caliodoran and either drop them into the sea or cross all the way to the other side into Vabi. Here, I'll bring up the map real quick, and then drop them there. But if you guys are actually going all the way east to drop them essentially outside the Crow Fort, that's a much further distance. So I'll bring up the map real quick and show everybody.
Yeah, I remember you said it was going to take us like 6 hours. I'm like, I think it's going to take us longer than that.
Well, 6 hours would be so. You guys right now, if you see where it says the Wuod Plains and there's the kind of little Ison area, you guys are heading basically right where it says Wuod Plains, like in the middle of maybe the A. There, you're heading southeast right now, and it would take you about 6 hours to cross that little isthmus, that little Rock of Gibraltar kind of an area to get across there. And that's the closer one. But going all the way to the Badlands area, basically where the Crow Fort is all the way on the top right, over off the black little bar on the side. So that'll take you a couple days. Now it's safe. I mean, it's basically you know what? Actually, let me clarify. That'd be at the same speed. You haven't gotten specifics of this, but Nazim would be able to clarify, and Nazim B would be able to clarify. The Sevastopol can fly faster than this. It was just kind of, now that it's free, basically, it was just moving through the air a little bit. So it's not going to take you days necessarily, but probably still at least, the majority of the day if you're going to go all the way to the Crow Fort.
All right, so
We
then
go a
maybe
lot faster in space. Up and over.
maybe we should put these things back in their cage until we get there, because he was starting to lose control of these guys, right? Like he didn't have very long left.
From Stargoyle's translation, yeah, it sounds like a multi-day trip would be a problem. Even a day might be a problem. If it's 6 hours, he said they would probably be fine.
Oh, I was also going to try and put them to sleep.
You did mention that. You had mentioned a chemical potential adjustment, like giving them somnolent, right? Was it what you were going to attempt to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a medicine check. With disadvantage, really, just because these guys are so very different, really, from any chemical structure, let's say biological structure you'd be familiar with. Well, that's a natural one. You're not sure if it would be functional or not. You could certainly try, as long as they are amenable enough to allow you to, give them something, because you'll have to get them to ingest it.
Okay.
Are you going to try to brew some?
Yeah, I'll brew some.
Okay. It's a little bit chilly out here on the deck, so you'll probably want to go inside to do that, just to get some.
Yeah, definitely.
But even just around you'll have to kind of walk past them basically, but just around the inside of it, you can heat it with your own produced flame and everything to get it boiled up enough. But stepping inside, they don't give you any trouble. You're able to walk right past them and everything. As you are passing Finn, though, the Dellen's cap, you notice that as you're approaching, he starts to lift up one of his tendrils, and he's holding like a glass bottle in it, and he's trying to get you to take it.
Okay, I'll take it. What about Finn? Is there any snacks that he would eat that I can make? Because I know you said for the ship itself, there wasn't really anything.
So the Sevastopol is a filter feeder, and would basically eat something that you know what? I think you made a high enough animal handling or something check last time, and that's where I gave you that information. But essentially, based on its physiology, you gather that it has to be some sort of a filter feeder, like it would eat very large algae or plankton or krill or something of that sort. But as far as the Dellen's cap, though, you do know that the Dellen's cap specifically eats knowledge. And literally how you feed it is it basically absorbs and removes knowledge from existence. You feed it a name, and that name disappears, and nobody ever knows. It's gone from existence. Yeah. Which is literally what led to the vast erudition, because the Dellen's cap had been fed all of this information, and at the end of it, the Dellen's cap broadcast that in that campaign, the Dellen's cap then fed, then it broadcast the information back out, and then everybody acquired the same knowledge that it had absorbed previously. But it was not something that it necessarily needed to, they don't need to eat constantly. It's not like a thing you have to feed every day or anything of that sort.
Okay, I meant more edible snacks, but okay.
Doesn't need any.
So in other words, we could just take a piece of paper, write the history of Abby on it, feed it to him, and Abby never existed. War is over.
The people are still there. They still have their own idea, all of that. It's specifically, it's a little more localized than that, but in a similar sense, in that if you feed them a name, that people will have forgotten, they won't remember that person's name. They'll still know the person. They just won't be able to recall the name. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Trying to make it fast and easy.
That's a game problem right there. If everybody could just feed bad guys' names into it, they no longer exist. The jar that it hands you as you walk past Arteme, you kind of lift it up and look at it, and it's this very thick, viscous black liquid. And then when you as you shake it, there's this kind of shimmer, almost like glitter, inside of it. It's clearly important. Because of the vast erudition, all of you would recognize this is the ichor that comes from the Dellen's cap, which all of you would also know. They were not really forced. They drank bits of it in the vast erudition, the information that was downloaded via the vast erudition, and it kind of gave them absorbed knowledge. That some of the knowledge that had been taken from them was given back to them when they drank that. But as you kind of lift it up, the Star Whale says, "Oh, he wanted me to show you that. Do you mind? Can you just open it up for me?
Okay. Wait, what exactly is it?
He says you can use it, and he just wanted to give it to you as thanks. He says you can like draw things with it, paint things with it, and they'll happen. But he just wanted me to show you. He told me how to do it, but I don't really understand it myself, and I kind of don't have hands. So if you could open it up, I'll kind of do it like he says, and you can cast spells, right? Anybody else that can cast spells?
Yeah, I can cast spells.
Do you want to
So
like?
the glass vial with ink in it?
Yeah. So you uncork the lid, and it looks like thick ink, like really thick ink. And as he's describing it, anyways, he says you can, that he can use it, or that he can show you how to use it, rather. But he needs somebody to cast a spell.
What kind of spell?
Hang on, that's too loud. Why is that one so loud when the other one isn't? When that was supposed to be on repeat? Wait. Yeah, that's what I wanted. It's just too loud. Here we go. Cool. That's fixed. All right. Anyways, it doesn't really matter what kind of spell, just as long as it's something that I can see, and then I can try to paint it, and then it'll happen again.
Okay, I'll use weed plants to make some flowers.
Okay. Then you lift your hand out, and these small stalks sprout up out of your fingers and begin to grow towards the sky, and you see Stargall kind of watching it, and then after a couple of seconds, like he's just staring intently at it with his, little absence of a head, and you see him kind of lifting forward, and he's doing this telekinetically. He doesn't reach it, he doesn't have hands. He can't physically interact with it, I guess I'm saying this. But you see a kind of a string of the ink lift up out of it as he does this telekinetically, and he draws the effect of that in the air, and this you see a replication of it, another lifting of plants, and weaves up out of the air, becomes solid, and then they fall to the ground because there wasn't anything attached to them. So
Okay.
if somebody does something and you watch it, and you see well enough how to do it, you can try painting it with this stuff, and if you just paint it in the air, it'll happen again. So if somebody casts a spell, or if the mean gray guy, if he hits something with one of them big sharp sticks he's got on his back, and you try to draw that real fast, it'll happen again, and you can make it happen over and over.
How good of an artist do you have to be?
He kind of looks at the Dellen's Cap. Not very good. He says that it doesn't really matter. It's more it's playing off of your memory more than what you've drawn. But it is harder if you're trying to change things. So if you try to change the target, like for example, if the big guy hits one thing and then you try to draw it, but it's hitting somebody else, that'll be a little bit harder. But if you're just drawing the same thing again, it's very easy.
Well, that's cool to have around.
I'll drop it in Artemis' bag here. I'm gonna. Can I? I think I can share the item, and then everybody can see it first. You guys can decide. It is the ink of mimetic duplication, and oh shit, maybe I can't share it. All right, I'll drop it in Discord. But essentially, you dip it. You have to have both hands free. Does not require attunement, and you can't. You have to basically have both hands free. One has to hold the paint pot, and the other one for drawing. But you dip a finger in the ink. A user can spend an action to paint in the open air, attempting to replicate an effect that has occurred within 100 feet, witnessed by the user in the last few seconds, meaning it has to have just happened in the last 6 seconds. So in combat, it would just be within this last round or the round before. Both hands must be free. User must then make a skill check, usually performance, with the DC varying based on the complexity of the effect being copied. So basically, it's a 5. It's only DC 5 if you're copying a mundane, very simple thing. If it's a spell that is a 9th level spell, that would be a harder DC. And also if you're changing targets and things like that, that'll make it harder as well. What is Embers? So what I was thinking, Sako, is more Strago and Realm. Ben, you remember them from Final Fantasy VI, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna paint Ultros.
Strago.
And he's
Yeah,
gonna,
so
make it run away.
yeah, that was more of what I was thinking, but specifically this is using memory, in that your memory of what you've just seen is what it's trying to replicate by using the ink from the Ichor, from the Dellen's Cap. Whether successful or not, some ichor from the pot is expended. The pot contains enough ink for 10 charges. A simple effect like a mundane attack or other, a weapon attack, anything like that, would just be 1. A spell or magical effect, then it would be the number of charges equal to the spell's level. And then if you're changing the target or changing circumstances, like basically if you're dramatically changing the what you actually saw, trying to do it, in a different way, it'll add 3 charges necessary to it. But you theoretically understand here anyways that it's been given to you all as a gift, but it can be refilled, so it won't automatically regain charges or anything of that sort, but as long as Finn is around, he would be happy to refill it for you guys when you're on the ship.
Okay.
This is it here.
Thanks.
I'll drop it in the Embers chat for everybody. There you go. It doesn't require attunement, so you can literally just hand it around. The only limit, of course, is that you would run out of charges potentially until you get it refilled. So, who wants it?
If it's a
Coin?
performance check, I think Pogo would probably be better with it.
I agree.
Yeah, that's more of a me and Pogo thing, yeah.
Yeah, because for performance.
Plus 10. Yeah, he's proficient, so it's a plus 10 for Pogo. Justin, you want it for now?
Sure, I'll take it.
It doesn't require attunement anyway, so you guys can literally just throw it to each other in the fight if you needed to. All right. Then you head inside Arteme and begin brewing the somnolent tea to see if it will, help these guys fall asleep. You guys are able to move yourselves too, right? I noticed that you hadn't moved yourselves at all in the last session. Okay. Yeah, you should be able to. I put walls on the sides of the ship so you don't fall off, or, jump off into the sky, but apart from that, you should be able to move yourselves around.
I kept lagging out last time, so I'd move and then it wouldn't move for a few minutes, so it was kind of weird.
I noticed, this was entirely my fault. I noticed after we were done, when I was adjusting some of the file sizes for these things, the web Ps for these were 4 and 5 megs, and there's 3 of them on this. There was the 2 airships and then the ground below. They were huge. They didn't need to be anywhere near that big. I normally resize them myself. I don't remember why I didn't. I was probably in a hurry when I set the scene up before. But I adjusted the sizes so they're not. This one is actually still bigger than it needs to be, but it's not as big as it was. And then the others from here out won't be quite so large. So performance should be better for them. All right. So real quick then, as far as where you guys are going, just to clarify, so that we have an idea of your destination. As Arteme is brewing the tea up, there's the potential, at least, that you might be able to put them back to sleep for a while. Although that's going to be very difficult. You do know the DC is going to be very high for that. But if that doesn't work, you guys don't have a ton of time before the lithomorphs will start to be antsy again and become a problem. So where are you guys heading?
Well, first, have we decided that we're going to go... I mean, maybe it's going to take too long to get them all the way across the sea. Maybe we should just drop them off in, Vabi somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, we could always... Because we could, float over the ocean for most of the way and then go northeast, right? To hit the keep?
Float over the... Meaning... okay, you mean go southeast till you hit the ocean, and then just head northeast and stay, keep going over the Calydorn in case...
We're flying... Oh, okay.
I mean, in case we lose control of these guys, then we just dump them in the ocean, but if we can get control, then we've got them until we get there.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Or
the
we
idea
can
being
get
that...
off
Another
If they-
possible option.
Good.
Go straight up, leave the atmosphere so we can go faster to where we need to go, but also in the event of a catastrophic loss of control of these fools, space them. So we have a backup plan in case things go south quick, and we can get to wherever we need to go on the globe faster.
That's fine. I just don't know if... How are we going to get them out into space? I don't think they're going to be very happy about that. Do you know this ship pretty well? Does it have an option of just, opening some doors and dropping them off?
Airlocks. Yeah. Keep
So
it an
that's
airlock.
fine.
Let's go up, head towards where we're going. We'll get there extra fast, and then if they start getting crazy, then pop the hatch. But hopefully they don't, and we can
Well,
still
works.
weaponize them.
Works for me.
Sure.
In the meantime, I'm gonna go relax and lay down in that secure room, the control room that your brethren was trying to take control over. I'll go make up a little camp in there and sleep in the corner.
Which one that he was trying to take control of? What do you mean?
One who's directly above the
Okay,
brain
so
dude.
the pilot's room where he's in. Okay. Hang on, am I gonna crash that? I'll just leave it. All right. Well, then you making your way up there. God damn it! I'm gonna crash that. I'm gonna have to reload the server. Oh, there we go. You make your way up there. As you're passing it, you see now, as you're passing through, you see 3 and then 4 and then a 5th one as you make your way up to that final room where Nazim B is at. Along the way, though, you see these little creatures. They're small for a dog, but basically, small dog size of these little. Let me find them. These little nervous and not hostile, but certainly not a species you're familiar with creatures that are apparently all over the ship. You hadn't really you'd seen one when you were running through before, but you hadn't really noticed them so prevalent, and you didn't realize they were everywhere until now that it seems calm that they're back out again. I could have sworn I put the visual aid in here for them, but I guess not. I'll grab it for you and then put it in here in a minute. But basically, there's these small, almost dog-like creatures all over the place that seem curious and kind of following after you and kind of lifting the head up in there. They're eyeless. They do definitely look strange and don't look comforting. But they are kind of following after you and lifting their head up in the air, kind of following you.
So we got xenomorphs and tribbles. This is going to be an adventure.
Is that what he's getting pelted by? Those little rabbit things or whatever they are?
Yeah, they started out with just 2 or 3, and then they had billions on the ship, and it overflowed the ship because they kept reproducing every few seconds.
Few seconds? That's a quick gestation period.
Very quick gestation.
Why can't I get this damn thing to close? All right, I'll deal with that after. But other than that, they don't seem to be, they're certainly not threatening or anything. You do make your way up to the room, though, and I don't have that on the same map, Justin, so I would need to move everybody over to the interior. If everybody's going inside, that's fine. Otherwise, you'll be in the inside, making your way up there for Pogo. Are you just napping?
I mean, is it late enough to take a long rest yet?
No, it's 2:30.
Then I will take a short rest. And is the other
Nazim B? Yep.
Nazim B there?
Yep. So as you step into the room, the door opens for you as you approach, and you don't see him at first. You see the back of this kind of chitinous material that's lifted up out of the floor that is clearly formed into the shape of like a chair, essentially like a captain's chair, but leaned very far back, almost recliner style. And you don't see him, you just see the back of it until you kind of come around to the side, and you kind of turn and look, and he's got 2 of these protrusions that are lifting up out of the chair, almost tube-like, that are stuck to his forehead, one on either side of his forehead, and you see him kind of turn his eyes and look at you, but he doesn't say anything. Like it's clear that he sees you, and that he just looks back forward again.
Can you hear me in there with your tubes in your head?
They're not. They're touching his forehead. Like they're not in his in his ears or in his mouth or in his eyes or anything. He kind of gives a very, very slight nod, and you feel the ship shake.
Oh yeah, don't do that. So
you look forward though, the direction he's looking, and you see staring out the front of this. There's no hole in the wall because you've seen it like from the outside. You've seen the front of the ship. Well, in this case, it would be facing backwards, but you're looking out from it, and you can see outside. Like the room is filled with bright light, as if you're staring out a window.
I'm just gonna go ahead and fill him in on the game plan of where we're heading, and hopefully he can start heading that direction at a up into the atmosphere at a quicker pace, and hopefully everyone knows to get inside when we do that. And I'm gonna go take a short rest against the wall.
All right. Justin has COVID, everybody, so he's a little slow. If he's not his normal chipper self.
I'm actually playing. I had to move it from the office. I'm laying in bed right now. So.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't react. He just blinks twice, which you gather he must be saying yes. And you do feel the ship begin to lift upward. Everybody outside, you immediately, like you guys actually feel it far worse because, for some reason being exposed to the air is far different than just being inside. But it's not, you don't need to make deck save or anything of that sort, but it is lifting up. And there is, let's see, I don't think anybody looking overboard, looking down towards the ground at
No,
all?
I was inside room CT, so...
Yeah, you're just inside the door, so you definitely wouldn't be able to see out there. Anybody else that's on the deck that would be looking downward?
If I feel the ship going up, I am just attaching myself to Norak's leg, and I'm not looking anywhere.
All right. Nazim or Norak?
Just once we start to feel the ship move, we know to go inside, or I know to kind of go inside because it's going to get cold real fast.
Both Bara and Karina. Then Ben, are you reacting at all?
No, I'm just stabilizing myself.
Okay. They both run up towards you and Nazim, who are still on the deck here. What are we doing? The Solera Vente is not going to be able to follow us. What did you tell them to do? Why is the ship going up?
Apparently, we're going to space, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, we'll tell them where we're headed because that's what we're doing. Yeah, we'll tell them where we're headed, and this is the fastest way there.
Just a little space. It's still good. I did not realize you guys would be going up, or I would have had a different panel for that one when I tried to change it. I could probably change it, but it's not that big of a deal. I'll do it later. Then, with you beginning to lift off, you see, well, let's see, I guess Nazim and Norak being still outside. Sarah attached to Norak would still be, if you're looking up, not just squinting in fear, would notice this. But there are two different spouts on either side of the top of the shell, like pretty far up there. If you look upwards in the back of the shell there, you can see two different decks, like basically where there's a door and then a spot that you can stand if you came out of the door, and that door obviously leads back into the shell. One of which actually leads into the room where Pogo is right now. But anyway, looking up there, you see two different kind of almost windows open in the front of the shell there, and a tube, not unlike like an esophageal tube, kind of sticks out of the side of the shell. And there's this sputtering. This is like this kind of almost vomitous sputtering, and a heavy, thick like sea foam begins to just spray out from it until it kind of forms this bubbling shield that surrounds the deck. As it's kind of solidifying in the air, kind of spits out this wall essentially from it until this bubble is surrounding the deck there as the ship continues to lift up. I would change the scene beneath it, but I didn't go through all of them. I'm not sure if that one is another one that's way huge or not, so I don't want to change it and cause crashes for anybody. But the ship continues to lift up and up and up. You guys do feel, especially those that are outside, the air is getting thinner and thinner. I mean, you wouldn't have estimates of how high you are, but hypoxia sets in for humans around 16 to 18, something like that, 1,000 feet, and you were already at 14. So basically, now that you're heading up pretty rapidly, the air is getting thinner and thinner. Although you do feel like there's enough oxygen being kind of pumped into this bubble that you guys will be fine if you stay inside. But the Dellin's Cap and the Elithomorphs seem to not care at all. They don't seem, the least bit interested. You do notice that Stargoyle is having to flap its wings harder because it's having to lift itself up higher and higher as you guys go. Yeah, Pogo, if you're taking just a full-on short rest, just sitting down and relaxing.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a full short rest. So
okay. Yeah, you can use more than one hit die if you need them. Yeah. Then, anyways, the ship continues to lift up. It's getting darker and darker. You begin to near the Arcanosphere, where basically most of the light is being reflected back down towards the planet, and so you're beginning to see this kind of blue horizon, this spherical horizon, because of course this is not like Earth, which is flat. This is an actual planet which is round. A spherical planet.
Wait, what?
I'm kidding.
Okay, but no, seriously. After I brew the somnolent and give it to the Elithids, I'm going to go and stabilize everybody and like heal whoever I can.
Okay. The brewing, I think we said that it takes an hour, don't we? Didn't we?
It depends. It takes less time since I already have some sachet prepared. I just need to add them into the water and then let them brew. So like I don't have to like sit there and watch them brew. It's like a tea, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think we did do, as long as you had prepared some already. Where did I put that in there? It might just be in your Discord. In your inventory, maybe? It's probably with the item itself. There's red mint tea, Mithridatic Stridose. I don't see any somnolent, but I'm pretty sure you did have it. It's just been a while since you guys needed to use it.
Yeah, and I don't know if I actually updated to add them all, or sometimes I did, but the edit thing was kind of weird, and then I didn't save.
I think that was right when we first transitioned to Foundry, if I remember
Yeah.
right, too. Yeah, so it was a little buggier when we first moved in. That's fine. I think it was, if you had to prepare it the whole way, it was an hour, but if you just needed to brew it, it was 10 minutes, something like that. That sounds reasonable anyway, so that's what we'll go with. But you finish the brewing of it then, and step back out there, and you do see Finn is still kind of floating between the two of them, and they both kind of have their heads down, and they're dripping, they're drooling. This very caustic liquid that is, as soon as it hits the floor, kind of sizzles into the chitin on the floor. What are you doing?
I'm gonna put the somnolent probably with some like meat, I guess. Just some of the meat that I got from like hunting and stuff, and get to them that way.
Okay.
The meat is probably going to be a bit of the raw stuff that I had.
Give me.
But I hadn't had time to prepare.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, you still would have had some from the mountain anyways, which was 2 days ago at this time, 2.5 days, something like that, since you were hunting anyways. So still, fresh enough that you don't know if these guys would care anyway. But even if it was, humanoid consumption would probably be fine. Give me an animal handling check with disadvantage. And then roll a percentile dice after. All right. Dropped a natural 20, but 14's still okay.
How do I do a percentile again?
The one that's directly above the roll button in the bottom right that shows 2 dice. Just click on that until it says 1, and then hit roll.
Oh, okay. I don't remember if I had to hit something specific, like in combination with it, or...
Oh, that's it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and a 99. Wow.
Is that good or bad?
No, that's good. It was not a huge chance of a somnolent, the tea that you're brewing having any impact on them. So a 99 is very good. So you get each of them to kind of slowly nip away without grabbing your hands with these, like, literally just a mouthful of silverware. Like, it is shining, like, metallic teeth, and, trying to get them to... Huh?
She's trying to hand feed them?
What else would she be doing? They're standing there docile and not moving.
I will use Mage Hand to hand feed them for her. She is not
That's fair.
I don't
With a
have
99.
Mage Hand.
I mean, with a 99, if it was, a higher risk, I probably would have given her the opportunity to choose an alternative. But because they're essentially mind-controlled at the moment anyways, they are very slowly kind of grabbing chunks of food, whether it's via Mage Hand or Artemis kind of, putting it on a stick and handing the two of them, anything of the sort. They eat at least small chunks of this tea-soaked meat, and they keep dripping away, and if anything, the salivation actually continues and gets worse. They're clearly very rapidly melting a hole in the floor in front of them each, as they keep dripping in, this caustic saliva into it. But they've both eaten chunks of it. You don't see an immediate reaction. It's probably going to take a few minutes at least to set in. It certainly does for people. And you imagine that their metabolism is certainly far different. So it may take some time until you see any change, if you're going to see any at all.
Okay, I'll just ask Finn, nicely to monitor, to see if there is any changes. If he could sense any changes.
Sure. There's a slight swirl in the star field of its jellycap head. You gather that must be an affirmation.
Okay. I'm just gonna pet him.
The lithomorphs, or
No, Finn.
Okay.
Why would I pet something that
I
would
don't
want
know.
to eat
You're
me?
You're the one trying to feed them. You know, trying to give
Feed them to
a
put
snack.
them to sleep, not to
Yeah.
actually give them a snack.
All right. He seems pleasant and seems to welcome the approach. He does kind of splay one of the tendrils at the end again, and you see that tiny little beak that he'd used to pierce your hand before when you put your hand through the wall. Remember, and just kind of holds it out towards you. He doesn't actually touch you with it. He just kind of holds it out in your direction.
Okay.
All right. What is Norak doing, G?
Oh, hang on, he's in the bathroom. Hey Nazim, so if we stay out on this deck, are we gonna be able to still breathe when we get into space, or do we have to go inside?
We should be fine, but I'm going inside because it's going to be more comfortable.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, it does. It's not particularly temperature controlled. I mean, you won't freeze like it is. There is oxygen being pumped out into this area. You do via Nazim and Nazim B would know that there's oxygen is a byproduct of this creature breathing, whereas CO2 is for humans. This thing breathes out oxygen that is breathable. So as long as you're not in here for many days, basically at a time, with no other exposure, then you'd be fine.
I'm gonna go inside too, and actually, if I can, take a short rest like Pogo is.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and reload that one. Actually, we could probably just move straight there, and then you guys can. Let me turn that one off. There we go. The Dellen's cap and the two Illithid then come in as well. He kind of just floats in with them and set off to one side. Go ahead and move yourselves around. Stargoyle follows all of you in. Well, those of you that were not already up there. So Pogo, actually Artem was just inside anyway, so never mind. I guess it'd be everybody other than Pogo who was up in the control room. Pogo, I'm gonna go ahead and move you all the way up there.
Okay.
It is way up there, and
I'm just up there because it seems like it's the safest room.
The one below might be more safe even, but now that you guys kind of have run of the ship anyways, you don't feel particularly at threat or concerned about anything in this place. It's going to slowly drag you across the whole map, Sako, Justin, so you're going to end up seeing the area anyways.
Shoot up anyways.
Here you go. That should be... Why do you have no vision? Is that normal for you? Yeah, I guess you don't have dark vision, do you?
Do not.
The place isn't illuminated, so you guys are going to have to do something about that.
I do have light as a cantrip, though.
Okay, all right, I'll go.
So I probably would have used it on something.
There you go.
If
but
the ship,
what's that?
sorry, if the ship eats algae, I could grow some. It's an aquatic plant.
It is, but it's not. So, to be a little more clear, there, it wasn't algae specifically. It is something that lives in the substrate of space that it eats, and it's kind of a larger it isn't algae. It's basically like a space algae.
Okay.
Yeah, it isn't algae in the same sense. It's just most similar to that in the creatures you're familiar with.
Oh, okay.
But as you guys are kind of making your way back inside the ship here, feeling that the kind of constant lift of being on an elevator that's moving up, that kind of feeling in the gut when you know that it's moving, or feel that it's moving. Stargoyle kind of flapping alongside you. Sev says that she'd be happy to rearrange things for you guys. She's just so ecstatic that she doesn't have to deal with Neuraxes anymore. So if you want him to, or want her to set things up, set up quarters for you or anything, she'd be happy to do it.
I mean, maybe we should get like a stage and a 5-piece orchestra or something.
I don't think it can create people. I don't even know if it can create instruments. Nazim, can it create instruments?
I'm not sure, actually.
You haven't seen.
What
She
about,
doesn't.
like, animatronic. I'm thinking like
It's
animatronic
like a
rat.
Chuck E. Cheese or something,
Can we do that? Can we build like an
Five Nights at Freddy's
animatronic
thing.
band? That could be fun. Get a bunch of
She.
Nazims awake and they can be our backup dancers. Pogo
Nazim
and the
B.
Nazims.
Nazim B is the last Nazim clone, by the way. That there aren't any other. You guys, we'll hand wave that you've explored the ship enough to recognize there aren't any other. Well, the other two tanks were already empty. There were 4 total, and you gather that Nazim A probably came from one of them, and Nazim B, the other one, was smashed with glass all over the floor. And that's where Nazim B came out of. But the C and D tanks essentially are empty.
So does that mean, like, are they intact? So does that mean there wasn't is B and D, or does that mean that they were used?
The tanks are intact. As for whether or not they were used, you'd have to ask that question of one of the Nazims. If they even know. But basically, you don't have any way to know is what I'm saying. The tanks,
Okay.
are yeah. But the ship itself, you guys, you can do this between sessions or something. But if you want to, have it designed differently, I can, do that. I can essentially just Photoshop the stuff to make it look more appropriate, I guess, for quarters and things like that. The only deck that can't change really is the bottom one. There isn't much that can be done there because those are still necessary. But the other floors, which you guys can, move yourselves around at. Yeah, go ahead and roll your hit dice to heal yourselves up. Anybody that's taking a short rest.
Yeah, I'm gonna be right back, guys. I'll
Right.
I'll be right back.
All right, I'm gonna do a short rest.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm gonna use the medic feat. So if anybody wants extra rolls, or is it extra?
You have a thing where if you're. Oh no, that's Justin's Song of Rest, I think it's called. That they had to, you automatically get the max for any hit dice that you roll. But you'd have to be up in the control room. You'd have to be singing a song.
Oh, they could regain the maximum number of die points instead of rolling.
That sounds right. Yeah. Where's that from?
DC Wisdom, it's a medicine check for each creature. So
Let's see. Those would just be. That's fine, Fox. You guys have enough free time at the moment, anyways. If you're just basically, flying the ship southwards. Anyways, that you'd have enough time to take 20 is what it's called. But basically, if you have enough free time, you can automatically get a natural 20 on certain things.
okay.
Meaning that you could basically try again until you got a successful enough roll. So there's no point in rolling it in situations like that. But that would be that'd be everybody. Without even needing the Song of Rest. And I don't remember, Song of Rest might just be extra hit points, something like that. But Fox, I think you had the thing where it was automatically roll at max hit dice or whatever.
Yeah, they get, like, instead of them rolling, they just automatically get their max hit dice of health back.
That
Is
sounds
what
right.
it says.
Yeah. Okay. What ability or whatever is that from?
That is medic feat.
Oh, that is from the medic feat. Okay. All right. All right. Then, as all of you kind of settling in a little bit, you do recognize or start to notice, anyways, those same little almost dog-like creatures that Pogo had noticed. I think a couple of you had already seen them before. I gotta put the thing in here for them real quick if I can find it. Could have sworn I made one already, but I must not have. But they do, seeing kind of all of you, one of them begins to follow each one of you. Anywhere you're walking around, there's at least one that is following not far behind you.
So we got furry little minders now.
They're kind of dog-like a little bit, but yeah, these little eyeless creatures. They have kind of a smooth spot where they're smooth skin over where their eyes would be. But other than that, they just seem to be following you around, and they're picking up after themselves. You notice that they're like cleaning bits, things that they've clearly gotten broken, like chunks of shell and parts of the chitinous material that that the ship itself is made of, that were all over the place. There's little dust and debris, and without, like, they're not moving towards it, they're just telekinetically moving these things around or kind of shoving it into a corner or off into a box and things like that. It's clear that they must be caretakers of some sort on the ship.
I'm gonna try to pet one.
Okay. You reaching to give me an animal handling check.
I was also gonna try and pet one and see what are they making of Sai?
Did you bring her? You did, because you brought her out to help the Dellen's cap with something. I forgot about that. Yep, so you do have her out. They don't seem to be interested in Sai. They basically ignore that she's even there. Like they may not even be able to tell that she's there. They're not particularly cute. They are just very small, kind of animal-like or dog-like rather creatures. But other than that, they're just following all of you, but they don't seem to notice Sai at all or care that she's there.
Okay.
There it is. All right. There you go. Very kind of vaguely similar in shape to the Elithomorphs, but very small, kind of.
We motherfuckers.
Yeah, definitely not cute. They're not something you would want to cuddle with necessarily. But Sarah, with that, well, both, I guess, if Arteme was also trying, reaching down, they respond to you reaching a hand out. But it's clear that they're not trying to seek affection. They come up to approach your hand as if they think you're trying to give them something, like give them a task. They kind of come up towards your hand and investigate, and then just turn around and kind of sit back down like they're just following you.
All right.
I'm gonna stab one of those bitches if they come near me.
There aren't any in the control room with Nazim B. He's still sitting in the chair flying the ship.
Went and made a heat pad for my neck, and it's too hot now, so I don't know what to do.
Are you feverish too? Are you feverish too? You got the
I've just had a 3-day headache.
Yeah.
I was feverish last Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but now most of my symptoms are not terrible, but the fucking headache that just lasts and lasts and lasts is driving me insane. All right, sorry, back in the game.
Sure. Go ahead and heal. Well, with that, let's see.
That's technically, that would be technically upcast to level 5 because I upcast it to level 3 because I didn't have a level 2 spell slot. But
Okay.
with the Wood Sage's Course, it's upcast by another 2 levels.
Yep. All right. Then the healing spirit itself. I'll drop it on here for you, and then you can use the L5 heal from it. There you go.
Okay, so that should heal everybody though, so everybody could just heal up.
Well, it's it's still 6 total. It's every, isn't it? There's a limit to it. It's like a certain number that it can do.
Yeah, I think it's 6 or 7 or something.
After healing that number of times, which is equal to 1 plus your spellcasting modifier, so 5 times. So click the L5 if you double click on it, where it says heal L5. Click that 5 times, or just click it to put it in the chat, and then you can click the healing part of it 5 times.
I'm a bit confused.
So double click where it says healing spirit, the token that's on the map there.
Oh, okay.
And then under features, see where it says heal, and then L5.
Yeah, okay.
Click on that, and that'll put it in the chat like it's a spell. You're just casting the spell from the healing spirit, basically, is how it's working. And then click that 5 times. Yeah, with those numbers, I think that'll be enough to get everybody topped off, anyways. Nazim needs some. Yeah. Plus, with the hit dice.
Gives me a bardic inspiration back to full.
Yeah.
Okay, that should have been 5.
Yep, that's 5. All right,
okay.
So however you guys want to split it up, but Ben needs some. No, okay, Ben. Well, did you just use hit dice 2, G?
I used some hit dice already, and then
okay.
I was at 72 before the healing spirit, so I'm assuming I'm probably full by now.
That's a bunch. That's fine. Honestly, between the healing spirit and you guys using hit dice, we're not in a tense enough situation where I'm too concerned about a few points here and there anyway.
Because I used the medic trait though, whenever you guys use the heal dice, just use the max hit dice you can.
Yeah. So any hit dice you guys rolled, you would have gotten maximum for anyways, without needing to actually roll it.
Yeah, I would have been rolling, so I just did the points for my actual roll.
Okay. Nazim, did you roll any hit dice?
I did a short rest, and I did 3 hit dice rolls.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Go ahead. I'll put yours and Sarah's up as well.
All right, now Sarah is not taking a short rest.
Still too panicked.
Not yet. She is.
It's not like you're going to sleep or anything.
No, but well, she's sitting by the door that we came through. So, from the deck. So she's just sitting on the inside. She's probably freaked out about the fall, but she really wants to see if she has the same reaction to space. And if she can be on the deck even for a minute in space, she's gonna try.
Okay, all right. So the door, you guys didn't close it unless you choose to. So the door's not open, or the door isn't closed. Rather, the door's still open. You can see outside, and as you guys continue to lift up, you're starting to see specks of stars that you've never seen before. They're normally filtered out by the dome, just so you can't see that. Those small pinpricks of light. So you're starting to see the top. You're just not seeing the ground, because the deck is blocking. You're not, unless you go out to the deck to go look, you're not seeing down towards the planet. Is that having an effect, or are you fine with that portion? That's not really a height thing.
Yeah, no, as long as she can't see the ground, she's okay, but she wants to wait until she's completely in space and then look over and see if she has the same reaction, because it's not like she's looking at the ground.
Okay.
She'll be looking at a planet, so she wants to see if it's any different.
Okay. That's you. It's still going up, I guess. You don't know how long that's going to take, but it is still moving upward. The ship, you can still feel that kind of constant G pressure, gravitational pressure pushing you down towards the deck.
When you try and lift your legs feel a little heavier.
I'll give our guests the tour of the ship for now, I guess.
Which guests?
Weren't Corona and them still on the ship?
Yeah, Karina. Okay, so Karina and Bara both.
Yep.
Right. So you taking them through where? I guess anything in particular that you're showing them?
I'm just gonna show them most of it.
Okay.
Because they were curious about it.
Every step of the way, Karina is kind of. Can we stop here for a minute? I just want to jot this down. I want to kind of make sure I have a proper memory of all of this.
Yeah, we'll just take it slow, let her draw and whatever.
Okay. All right. The whole span of it'll probably take you maybe an hour to do all of that, and you do you don't. I guess you don't know how long it'll take, but basically, it'll probably take you longer. You think to do the full tour at the pace she's going than it will take to get up. But she can probably continue doing so on the way back down if you guys choose to do so. What is the beard supposed to be? Oh, that's okay. Never mind. That's Nazim B. Why does he have a beard, Sako? It changed from a weird evil mustache into a beard.
I upgraded it because the mustache was a little bit too cut and paste.
That's what was so funny about it. It was so badly done that it was intentionally bad. All right. So otherwise, you guys still fielding the ship lifting upwards and moving forward. Anybody doing anything else?
Nope. I'm just waiting until we're for sure in space.
Okay. You feel like you're so right now you guys are approaching the point at which the stupid Red Bull guys said they were in space and jumped from space and they weren't. You're at that level basically. So the level at Jeff Bezos's rocket bullshit saying he was in space when he wasn't. That's where you're at. So definitely a unique sight, but not actually outside of the Arcanosphere, or in our case the Ionosphere. Anyways, still lifting upwards. But the little relic keep following after you, everybody. For Pogo, you do kind of peeking around the corner of this chair that Nazim B is sitting in. You kind of starting to nod off a little bit maybe, but your head falls off to one side and you see one sitting around the corner from you, just like face. Like staring at you. Doesn't have eyes, but it's kind of staring in your direction. It was clear that you immediately recognized that this thing somehow knew that you did not.
I don't want anywhere near me.
It
if
somehow
it looks like kind of what you showed me on this.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, no, Pogo doesn't want that shit.
It was so I'll put it to you this way first. It obviously recognized that you did not want anything to do with it, but still has a job to do and is sitting around the corner away from you so that it wouldn't bother you, but it's still there to do its job.
Does it recognize when I aim a crossbow at it?
No, as soon as you see it, it runs back around the corner, scurries away from you again.
Oh, good. I'm gonna fuck around with these things. I don't know.
But they're. I'll put it to all of you. None of you are up with Pogo to be able to see this, but over the span of just being near them for for more than a minute or two, you all recognize that these things are clearly telepathic to a certain level, and a very emotionally sensitive. They're able to sense emotion and empathy instantly. That's their means of communication, it seems.
So they're empaths.
Yeah. So they immediately recognized, of course, that Pogo didn't want them and didn't want them to be anywhere near, and therefore that one is staying away. But like when you guys had tried to hold your hands out to try to, well, for you were intending to pet. It doesn't understand that, but you were holding a hand out, and they think, okay, well, that needs something, so I'm going to go try to figure out what it needs. And you didn't have anything, so they just kind of retreated back. But other than that, they just keep following all of you, kind of telekinetically moving dirt and things out of the way, and are obviously the caretakers, like they're maintenance crew for the ship. But if nobody else is doing anything in particular, you do, over the span of the next 15 minutes or so, feel the ship begin to slow down its ascent. And Sarah, it's hard to tell. Like, you basically have long since been past the point for the last 5 minutes or so where you're not seeing changes in light anymore. You were just kind of feeling the ship still lifting away from the gravitational pull of the planet, until it kind of slows to a point that you don't feel that anymore. And there's an echo through the whole ship, and you hear Nazim B's voice kind of booming through them, not unlike the kind of booming echo that you guys had heard when you were at the top of the summit on Sear Top, where you were hearing the voice of well, you didn't know at the time, but it was Korra's voice, echoing up through the kind of tubular minerals inside that cave down there. Not unlike that, basically something clearly tubular inside this is acting as a megaphone almost inside of the ship. But Nazim B's voice, just regular Nazim's voice, echoing through the ship. We're at altitude. Do what you need to do.
Well, we're not doing what we need to do yet. I'm telling him this in the room. We're gonna fly south, hoping we're gonna technically fly east towards Shamalama Ding Dong. I'd be trying to tell him we're gonna be crossing over the ocean.
Calidorn, over to
the
Vabi.
Calidorn Sea,
Yep.
yeah, over towards, not really towards Vabi, towards where our fort is.
Okay,
Am
so
I standing in the room with them?
no. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
if you were. I think Pogo's the only one that's up in the control room with Nazim B.
Oh shoot, I thought I was with them.
Okay, no, if you were going up there, that's
Tell
fine.
him
Just
the game plan.
Apologies. Yeah, I was heading up to a control room with them.
okay. Right, then both Nazim's up there with
I am the pilot.
Pogo. Well, so is he.
When
You're both pilot.
another Nazim gets up there, I'm just gonna, like that crossbow that I pulled out, I'm gonna be like pointing him at the other Nazim and like just with my mouth wording like.
Gonna do the Spider-Man thing.
You just toss him overboard too. Then you don't need the second Nazim.
So pretty much, we'll let them know. Set a course for these coordinates. I'll kind of, tell them which city, what area that we're flying to. And I mean, both we Nazims both know that now that we're out of atmosphere, we can go much, much faster and get there at a faster rate.
Yeah.
And also, I'm going to not silently, but very carefully whisper towards him to, just in case, prep the airlocks in case our guests get a little rowdy. And I assume that we've already kind of put them on the deck.
Maybe just the ones that they're staying in. The rooms.
Oh, that's true. I'll maybe make a
I don't know how many there are.
little gesture with my fingers. The ones with the tails.
So sticking your hand off of your back like a tail, like how are you gesturing with your finger what a tail looks like?
Yeah.
We
Nazims, we know what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So the plan then, just to be clear, is you are describing to Nazim B so that he can communicate to Sevastopol if you guys need to eject the elithomorphs. Then, right?
Correct.
Yeah, but we're trying not to eject them until we get.
Yes.
Didn't you say something about this ship being able to cloak or go invisible or something?
Correct. So what we're doing is we're plotting a course, and we're just, as a precautionary, in case we lose control of these things on the ship, we're going to space them. But the plan is to fly to where we want to go, cloak, and then I guess you guys want to drop them off to act as mass destruction weapons. So we're going to still go with that.
Okay.
But essentially, this way we can get there quickly. They'll still be under our control for the next few hours, you said, easily. And just as a precaution, if things go south, we have our finger on the button.
Okay. They are currently sitting in what would essentially be like a lobby, the first room that you guys came into when you first entered the Sevastopol. That's where they're at with Finn and Sarah. So Sarah's just kind of staring out the doorway.
Oh,
We should probably get Finn and Sarah just to.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you do try to space them now, Sarah's fucked. She is just gone. She would just be yanked right out.
Oh, Sarah's already out on the deck at this point.
Okay,
Like, if
all
they're
right.
officially in space, she is tiptoed out to see how
Okay.
she's doing.
Since we all kind of know this is the plan, where we're not going to space them, but in case it happens, we know it's going to go down that way. We're all going to purposely not be in the same room with them in the event that doors need to be opened.
Okay. All right. That kind of airlock almost room, that little lobby area, would be a good means of ejection, but you would need Sarah, inside, not outside, for that to function without also killing her. That would be a real height problem if she's falling from space. So,
It's more like
No, we
Artemis.
got to get her out of the way of the ejaculation.
Yeah.
I had to say that when I took a drink.
So the Sarah or Artemis rather, though, Stargoyle still kind of flapping nearby you while you're doing this tour with Bara and Karina. He flaps away. He says, I'll be back. Finn needs something apparently."
Okay.
And he flaps off. And then Sarah, just as you're stepping out the doors, you do see both of the lithomorphs, first one, and then within a span of a few seconds, the other stumble a little bit, almost drunk-like, which is odd because they either have been completely frozen or like animated blades, like they were just a constant spinning death machine when they were hostile, and since then they've basically just been standing still and drooling, other than the very subtle mouth movements of them eating the poisoned meat that Artemis was feeding them. But
It wasn't poisoned, it had a sleeping agent.
That's still poison. If somebody feeds me a sleeping pill, I'm gonna consider they tried to poison me.
Poison is harmful. Sleeping pill will just knock you out. It's sedative, not poison.
All right,
It's
there's
a
been
sedative.
plenty of roofie incidents in bars where I'm sure a woman would disagree. Well, women, men too, would disagree with that. You're still drugging somebody.
Okay, sedative and poison are two different things. And poison isn't the intent to kill. Sedative is the intent to either do harm, but not necessarily kill.
I don't know,
Poison.
man.
Poison isn't anything. Poison just
Alcohol.
means in dosage. Yeah, alcohol's a poison. Exactly. Any chemical at
Like
all is poison.
Tylenol
It's
is
just dosage.
technically poison. It's
Yeah.
just helpful.
You put too much somnolent in there, and it would kill them. maybe these guys, but anyways. But you see one stumble a little bit and kind of catch itself, and then just stand right back up again. And then the other one does it like right after, and it's clear that they're being affected by this. You don't necessarily know to what point. You don't know if maybe they curl up like a dog, maybe they sleep like horses and just stand still, or cows. So but it seem like they've been affected by it. And Artemis, not long after that, although you didn't know that Sarah was walking out, Stargoyle returns. He says that he's not sure what's happening, but they're not really responding anymore. He's not sure if they're asleep or what. It's not like they're in the tank, but they're not really responding anymore.
Okay.
It's probably good. He's just not sure.
I would have everyone come in the house here, or in the room here, and just in case things go south, we know what to do. But let's hurry up and get to where we're going fast.
At the pace, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that now that you have... Sako had the right of it. Like, that wasn't something we discussed. He just, when you don't have atmospheric pressure, your limits on speed are basically none, because there isn't anything pushing against the outside of the ship to slow it down anymore. So once you can get far enough outside of it, really impulse is enough to continue to accelerate indefinitely. And therefore, without that pressure and being much, far less affected by gravity, you are able to move much faster. Sarah, you are able to see it now outside on the deck, just blazing by below you. Although you're kind of mostly having to rely on seeing the shore, you're high enough up now that even though you're above the Caliodoran, you can see both the northern coast, which is Pale and the Estermark and some other regions in the southern part of the Empire, and to the south on the other side of the ocean, the Caliodoran Sea, you can see the deserts of Vabi, and for a long ways on both sides. And before a few minutes passes, even maybe 15 minutes, you begin to see the shores on the east side, which is where Cadogan, the halfling village that was burned, is, and then the beginning of the slopes that lead up towards Morvok and the whole mountain range there for the chains. And now that you're out here and above even the elevation, this is a very strange sight because that whole ring of the broken chunks of the moon that was destroyed, the moon of Indris, that it is just a ring of glittering white stones that are constantly just tumbling in space. You're actually above a lot of that debris. Some of it is still above you. Basically, kind of, you're at the lower levels of it, but you're above some of the lower pieces of it, including the largest chunk, which is usually called the Tier of the Moon, which is a floating mountain. It's just a massive chunk, and you can see that it isn't just that. Just from here, from this vantage point, it would be below your passive enough to be able to see that it's not just the chunk. Like it's clearly been used. Like it's being shaped in certain places. Not just a natural destroyed chunk. Does that make sense? Not just a blasted rock, but something that has been hewn away in certain places.
Yeah, so am I getting somebody is doing that now, or it was man-made to begin with before it blew up?
I think that would be outside the realm of even. You can go ahead and make a flat intelligence check. You're close enough to it now that you can see it. It's still off a ways, but yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell with that. It happened recently enough. I'll put it to you this way: because the moon was only destroyed 10 months ago at this point, at the right before the Vast Erudition is when it was blown up. It would have taken probably you guess it would probably have needed to take it a while to have that kind of shaping, that kind of stone carving that it would be necessary. That you guess it would probably before, maybe some before, some during. Hard to tell.
Okay.
But you can see that big chunk of it is from this height, hard to also tell the distance, but it's probably only maybe a couple 100 miles south of 100 miles or so south of the Crow Fort right now. Still in over Vabi right now. But certainly a very interesting view, obviously being that high up and kind of having this God's eye view of all the basically the entire Caliodoran almost.
Do I need to make a wisdom save out here?
You don't. You feel surprisingly safe and comfortable. There's no air passing you, although it's being pumped into this. You're not exposed the way that you are on the broom, for example. And you don't know if that's where the difference is, but you don't feel the kind of height fear, like the sweaty palms and the fear of or the kind of the weak in the knees kind of feeling or anything like that. You feel perfectly fine. You gather that if you were too close to the edge, it might start to be a problem, but at least where you're out here on the deck where your feet are safely planted, you don't feel concerned.
Great. So she'll stand out here for just a couple minutes and just soak in the fact that she's so high up and she is not terrified to death.
Yep.
And then she will go in because she realizes the plan was to space them if they needed to, and they stumbled, so she's going back in because she doesn't know what's going on.
All right. You make your way back in then. You do see Arteme and the Imperial Sergeant and the scientist still walking around with Stargo floating nearby. They're both, both of the sergeant and the researcher kind of asking questions and talking to themselves back and forth. Arteme occasionally chiming in with them. But that's other than that, everything seems fine inside.
Hey, I'm gonna go. Hey, Arteme, you gave them sleepy stuff, right? Because they were stumbling back there for a second.
Yeah. I gave them the somnolent, which is what we sometimes take to help with the sleeping.
Are we gonna be able to wake them up when we get there? Because I'm pretty sure we don't have, a whole lot of time before we get there, since we're in space.
You have, from your estimate, from seeing how fast you've moved over the ocean already, you have probably an hour before you get there.
Yeah. Hour or so. Do we have a way to wake them up?
I could, well, I could put the don't I have a waking thing?
You have red mint, which is caffeine.
Oh yeah, I have the red mint I could put to wake them up. I would prefer if you use Mage Hand to drop it into their mouths, though, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
So
we
basically,
can
we'll
do
mix an Ambien with coffee.
Yeah, it was literally like take an Ambien and then an hour later take the car, drink the coffee. Not much sleep.
Man, these poor. I didn't feel bad for them before. Now I kind of feel bad for them.
But
Hey,
you don't care at all that you guys are gonna drop them from fucking space. You know?
No, we're gonna go down. Spaces just in case they act all, tizzy.
Yeah.
A little bit of Folgers and ephedrine.
Yeah. Does anyone have any space meth? Give them some space meth.
Space
Oh,
meth.
really? Yeah, space meth. That'll really kick in when we drop them down there below.
Yeah, that's what they need. They definitely need more violent outbursts. Shit. Hang on, guys. Server room blew up. What I was telling you guys about, basically the AC in that server room, which is our primary data center in Boots Creek, went down, and the temperature exploded. Oh, cool! I'm getting ILOs again. All right.
Where's your backup?
We have a colo, but it wouldn't matter for this case because our exchange servers, our authentication servers, fucking 30 emails. All right, so the exchange server is back up. That's good. Anyways, there are.
They didn't actually explode.
No.
They
The
didn't
AC.
burn, they just
Well,
had to turn.
I don't know yet what happened. Like, we were supposed to be doing network stuff, but I think they had to postpone that. I'm guessing because with the. So, anyways, the AC went down earlier today. Probably 4 or 5 hours ago or something, and then the temperature kept climbing in there. And then, as of like a half an hour before game start, the exchange servers went offline. The authentication servers for our VPN, both our primary and our backup, that are in Boones Creek in the same place, both of those went down. I could still authenticate because I tested it, but I could still authenticate we have one in San Luis, Arizona, and that one I was still able to connect a VPN to. But basically, the exchange servers mean no email for anybody in the company, which makes it very difficult to communicate with anybody outside of my team. I can text my own team, of course, but anybody that I don't work with directly, I don't have their cell phone numbers memorized and shit, and I can't look it up in Exchange or in Outlook rather because it was offline. AC2 servers are down. Apparently Kansas is down as well. All right. All right. I'll have to come back to that here in a bit. All right. So far nothing that I need to test. We were supposed to be doing some stuff tonight that I needed to test, but with things being on fire, probably not going to happen tonight. Anyway, sorry. Where were we at there though? You guys. Okay, that's what I was thinking too. Was Breaking Bad like the blue space meth? Anyways, you certainly high enough that if you needed to do so, you could. If you were to try to eject them, but you do feel like that it'll, an hour, maybe an hour and a half. You should be, I guess, depending on your exact intent. If you're trying to be basically right over the Crow Fort and just drop it, slightly south. I mean, remember it's surrounded right now by Fabian forces. So if that's where you're intending to drop it, you feel like it'll probably be somewhere between an hour, maybe an hour and a half before you get there. Anybody doing anything in the meantime?
Do we have a way to communicate with the Crow Fort? I know we have some spells that we can contact people, perhaps, but kind of let them know that we're going to be dropping bladed
WMDs
near them. Yeah.
Well,
maybe give them the heads up.
What time is it in Crow Fort?
Everybody except for you. Well, actually, you guys have been going back. No, shit. You're flying east. You're moving forward in time.
Yeah.
Just like, Fox has made up space time, future time.
Flying to Florida, so 3 hours going.
Yeah,
to
exactly. And you're flying you're flying faster than the time zone changes. So it was when you started this about 2:30, 2:45, and you don't have watches that are like automatically adjusting with NTP or NTP. So it's not automatically adjusting for you, but if you were to know the actual, cosmic time in this time zone, you're almost at 5:30 at this point. in the span of an hour. So where it should be 3:30ish, it's like 5:30ish now.
Okay, is it AM or PM?
PM.
Okay. So I guess it would be safe enough to, we wouldn't be waking him up when we...
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I was pointing out, is we keep waking him at weird times.
You were further west then. Now you're almost above him, basically. Like you're almost in the same time zone anyway. But yeah, it's in the afternoon and evening. So what are you guys doing?
Sarah's the master at short messages.
Alright, fine. I will use this stone to talk to Ozzy, I guess. Ozzy's... Pepperjack doesn't have one, right? It's just
No.
Ozzy.
Yeah, usually Ozzy will pass the messages for you. He's used the same stone before, but he doesn't carry one.
Okay. We'll be there in an hour and a half in a spaceship. Gonna drop aliens on the enemy. Hopefully you can't see us. We'll see you soon.
All right. You get a pause. There's a huh, and then a pause that's clear with confusion. And then, so you managed to take the ship. That went well.
It's been great. But there's two mostly not so friendlies on board that we're gonna give everyone a surprise. Yay.
Should I tell the commander, or should we be keeping this to ourselves?
I mean, really, it's up to you. I'm sure Pogo would love to take credit for this if we kill a bunch of them. But apparently the ship can cloak, so hopefully no one will see us when we drop them.
I'll keep it to myself, then we can discuss when we see each other.
Alright, but yeah, just wanted to let you know if something starts killing a bunch of bad guys, it was us. It's not some new bad guy.
There's a question that I don't think any of you guys necessarily thought of. You can't meta on this, but I want you guys to realize also that they are in a situation, that the Vabians here are in a situation where they're surrounding an enemy fort, and all of a sudden an unknown weapon is just dropped on them. They're automatically going to assume that the Crowblinders did it. You guys understand that, right? Everybody gets that, right?
Yeah, they dropped from the sky. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, okay. So there was a time, like, what, 6
So-
months ago or something like that, when Donald Trump said that we should bomb the Mexicans, but bomb the Russians, but put Mexican flags on it, so they think Mexico did it. Remember what I'm talking about? It was something.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Mexico, but it was something to that effect, right? Right at the early state, right before Russia invaded.
He said put Chinese flags on it, is what he did.
Was it China? Okay, yeah. So it was something to that effect, anyways, where he was trying to create a false flag by verbally saying that. Now, obviously, this is basically the same thing. You guys are dropping them on him as if they're not going to know where it's coming from. Now that's fine. They don't have to assume where they're coming from or not, but you have to realize that they will assume that it is coming from the Empire made this attack on them. Which it doesn't matter. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. Just you do need to be aware that you are dropping very dangerous weapons on them, and they are automatically going to assume that it was an attack made by the Empire. So just keep that in mind, that this is a free attack.
We could freak them out too, since they don't know about snail alien ships. Snail alien ships could be dropping that on them, and it has nothing to do with the fort.
True, especially if we fly away, cloak, and then come back.
Because if they clearly see a flying snail living ship, this is not anything in the realm of possibility that the fort could be doing.
Yeah.
This could be like, I don't know, China shooting hurricanes at us.
So
with a hurricane
Ozzy
cannon.
was aware. So I'll put it to you this way: these are not unheard of. Like some people, certainly educated people, are aware that these kinds of ships exist and who they belong to. They won't necessarily assume that it's the Empire that had anything to do with it, but they're not as ephemeral as like UFOs would be. If a UFO just appeared and dropped something on them, like people do know that these ships exist. Hence Ozzy knowing about it and wanting you guys to try to recover it.
What if we came from the Vabby side instead of from our side? Like, as we flew in.
Hey, look,
Well, we
just to
can-
be clear, I don't want to start you guys, having to figure out whether you want to create a political incident here. I just want you guys to realize that anybody that it was attacked in such a way is automatically going to assume that it's the person, that they're surrounding and sieging the fort of.
Well, to be fair though, the Vabians have been like attacking and
Exactly.
trying to get information with
let's
the
just fucking
coins,
do it.
even
100%.
though there's a ceasefire. So I mean,
it's totally fair. There's no reason not to do it necessarily. I just want you guys to understand that it isn't like a free, let's just wipe out a bunch of them kind of a thing. Like they are automatically going to assume that this is a
Why not?
hostile attack.
We could create also a little bit of inner turmoil as well. The people who are surrounding the fort, those are Vabians, yes?
Yep.
Okay, what if we dump one at the outer edge of the Vabian siege? So clearly it's going to be munching its way through that line. But why don't we drop the other on the Vabian capital?
I mean, it's not a terrible idea.
Divide and conquer. If you are protecting your home base, you're going to allocate more troops back to that for the time being.
that is
Well, they're
true.
not okay, but they're not going to destroy a city. I mean, remember, you guys, just the group of you, took one of them like almost to death.
Yeah.
Like you would have been able to kill it.
They'll be taken out regardless. This is just a nice little little of a fuck
Well,
you.
that's just the point.
Yeah, it's not going to wipe out the siege forces or anything like that. It'll almost certainly cause a lot of carnage there, but they will die for sure.
Essentially, what we will be doing is dropping one to help the front lines, but dropping another like Hiroshima. It's a message.
Okay, not quite a nuke, more like blow up, a city block probably before it's taken down.
It's like the
Sure.
equivalent of like a carpet bombing.
Yeah, I mean, it will definitely cause a lot. Like, it's going to ruin a neighborhood, but it's not going to, blow up, a city, by itself. A town by itself, it could probably wipe out a town. So, but anyways, drop them wherever you guys want to. I just wanted to give you guys an estimate of what the socio-political impact would be of this already kind of burning war, that this like those slow embers of war, hence the name. And the kind of impact of what these specific individuals would have. That it's not going to wipe out their forces or anything like that.
I mean, we never claimed to be the smartest group out there, but we do get shit done.
So I guess the reason that I'm saying all of this, the reason I'm pointing this out, is because you just told this to Ozzy, and Ozzy isn't necessarily, remember, he is Vabian. He's not a member of the Crowblinders. He's not even an Imperial citizen. He's basically anti-government. Yeah, he's there you go. He's a political insurgent. He doesn't like the government of Vabi, and is certainly friends with Pepperjack and many of the Crowblinders. And he and the other pseudomen, like Maibi, for example, kind of are working with the Crowblinders to try to have as little human cost, at least civilian cost, as possible in this, and put a stop to the war. So you guys dropping a bomb on them that they will immediately attribute to the Empire is potentially a problem. You guys see that, right? So, but he doesn't want to say that to Pepperjack because he also wants the Vabians to stop. So he isn't going to necessarily tell Pepperjack in your place. But anyway, that's I just wanted to put all that out there so that everybody understands the entire situation there, rather than just coming up as repercussions.
Still drop them down there.
Our ship can cloak, but it can't look like other ships.
They almost killed Norok with a big fucking dead giant.
The dead giant that threw the rock at him. Were you?
Those are very against the Geneva Connection. You're not allowed to bring back dead giants.
And then lob rocks at people.
Yeah, they're trying to bring back like ancient deities. We're just dropping a couple crazy space lizards on them.
I mean, we could drop it more on the the Almora's nest, just to try and destroy those.
Yeah, you could.
That sounds great
Like
too.
that wouldn't give any civilian casualties, but it would get rid of some of their weapons.
So
I mean, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, like those are a very significant heavy weapon. Yeah, so those are a huge threat, and they are very limited supply. You do feel like, especially if you dropped both of them, they might be able to kill a couple, like at least one or two of the Amora, because those things are massive. I mean, they're dragon sized. So,
although we can take them out with like a one hypnotic pattern because they're not very smart. So,
well, he can't create thralls out of anything. You can't. I don't think you can turn an Amora into a thrall. But yeah, they weren't super smart, that's for sure. Real quick, Sarah, you mentioned this, but did you stop to look at your scroll?
Yeah, once I sat down wherever we're all convening and talking, I would have just pulled it out just to take a look and
Okay.
make sure.
This is relatively short, which is why I'm bringing it up, just specifically for the mention, because you hadn't mentioned it in a couple of sessions. Your last message to him, first, the message that he had sent to you was he called the hiking frivolous. Remember the frivolous endeavor, and you had replied super snarky. Your message back was
I
our
don't
frivolous
remember.
endeavor is completed. It was something like that. You used the same verbiage at him, and it was something like our frivolous endeavor is completed. Studies are going well, blah blah blah. Okay, so you look at the scroll. Then you see that this was he put a time on it. It was 10 a.m. this morning, so it's been a few hours since. He says, "My apprentice, though your feelings concern me quite little, your candor, or by your candor, I fear I have unintentionally harmed them nonetheless. I meant no degradation assessing your goals in the mountain trek, but rather the mundanity of the climb itself. Why not simply teleport yourself to the summit? Some misbegotten self-flagellatory challenge? Question mark.
She's just in shock. Like, how much power does he think I have right now? Like, to just teleport everyone up there. That's not how this
So
works.
he can actually tell, and he knows that you have the ability to teleport yourself. So
Okay, well, Sarah has no idea. Like, that's not in her spell list.
yeah, it is. You chose it.
Well, we can do.
But I chose it when I was up there. We were already up there.
That's fair. That's fair. He wrote it at 10 a.m., which would have been after that, but he didn't necessarily. He wasn't, keeping a record of when you could do it. I guess so. Because that was yesterday morning at 6 a.m. and he wrote that at 10 a.m. this morning. So, anyways,
It needs a circle. There was no circle up there.
True, but there are other means of doing that. And it was a very dismissive kind of a message, and that he was, kind of not belittling you necessarily, but saying that you bothered to climb was wasteful.
Yeah, no, she's just gonna tuck it back in his little case and save that for another day.
Okay, so wait, he'd be the kind of person that uses magic for anything, so as soon as he lost his magic, he wouldn't be able to do mundane things?
You
Is
met
that
the guy.
gist of it?
You met the guy, and you don't feel like there's a situation where he would lose his magic, as you put it. There's a lot of thinking ahead and kind of preparatory situations where, with enough advanced planning, yeah, he's plenty powerful for that to not be a concern, I guess is how I put that.
But I mean, like, a situation out of his control to where he were to lose his magic. Like, let's say for some reason everybody on the world loses their magic for whatever reason, then he'd kind of be, like, out of luck.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, that's probably not an understatement. Just the gravity of a situation like that would be more of a concern to everybody rather than just him. So
yeah, but my point is him specifically. Like, I use magic, but I don't use it for like everything.
Climbing a mountain, if you could choose to just teleport to the top of it, there's obviously that would be the better choice, right?
It'd be the quicker choice, yes. But where's the fun in that?
That's good, Justin. Speaking of, though, actually now, and what's funny about all this, by the way, too, is that you guys had stopped by this ship already, and had you investigated it before going north and climbing the mountain, you would have literally been able to fly to the mountain. Because Sarah, although you're not outside anymore, actually Pogo, because you're still up there in the control room, you and Nazim A are looking out the back of the ship. So basically, you're looking out you're looking north or west right now, and you can see Seartop. You can see the mountain in the distance that you guys were on the summit of. So
big fucking mountain.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a couple hours east of it now, but you can still see the top of the mountain that you climbed. Yeah, you guys are high enough up that you're not looking from parallel. You're not looking at from the surface. You're from way up, looking down at the can see it that way. So anyway, what are you guys doing? You'll be approaching here soon. You're basically nearing being over Cadogan, and then after that, a few minutes after that, you'll be at the Crow Fort, above the Crow Fort.
We could always ask Pepperjack what he wants us to do with them. Like, I vote for dropping them to Elmora to get rid of some heavy weapons, but those things are very vicious. I don't normally like killing living animals, but those things are way too vicious.
Speaking of, let's make sure we cloak the ship before we get super close. Whichever Nazim wants to do that.
Nazim B still in the chair.
Yeah,
kind
Nazim
of.
B. Yep.
He kind of looks, around the back of the chair. He can't quite see you very well without, turning his head, and he can't. But he kind of looks in your direction, and he blinks twice. And you guys that are inside, well, I guess everybody's inside. Yeah, you'd probably still have to see this. The floor beneath you begins to kind of kaleidoscope in every imaginable color of these kind of blotches. Like there's almost like bubbles of color that appear underneath your feet and on the walls and on the ceiling all the way around, like a balloon of color that fills up with red, and then that one shrinks. Another one that is right beside it fills up with blue, and then shrinks. Another of yellow, and so on. And this kind of just this radiant appearance of colors all around. And as they shrink down, they keep kind of absorbing the color around them. Each one that kind of blows up and then shrinks, and then another one blows up and shrinks, and they kind of keep sucking in the melanin. I guess it would kind of be melanin. I'm not sure if it's still melanin when we're talking chitinous material or not. But anyways, it keeps kind of absorbing the surrounding color until there's none left, and you're standing what essentially looks like glass. You inside can still see it perfectly fine. You can still see the shape. So that there's just nothing there. This you can still see it because there's still light reflecting off of it, and there's still kind of small little specks of color, mostly dark, that are visible all around you. So it's almost like you're just standing on this like spotted glass. In fact, actually, this is what it looks like. That's a glass squid. So if you look in the Embers chat there, that's what a sea creature that can turn itself invisible. Essentially, that's what it looks like. There's still, obviously, you can still see it perfectly fine, but seeing it from below, you won't look like anything. Something that was near enough would still visibly be able to see you. But if you guys see that glass squid in the Embers chat, that's essentially the appearance of it. But looking down through it, not the little clear plastic plane that Zuko dropped, but the squid above it.
So
It's Wonder Woman's invisible play.
Well, Becky?
We can see the ground then.
Oh, good question. No, that is probably going to be a problem for Sarah. You can see.
Sit down.
Yeah, it is too blurry to actually be able to make out anything, but you can definitely see that there is ground. Way, way, way down below your feet. You're still seeing the curvature of the planet when you're looking out on the other side because you're still very high up.
You may want to sit down and just look up for the remainder of this flight.
No, I think Sarah will take like gradual peaks down. Just that she's gonna try and get herself used to this, because if this is gonna be their ship, she needs to get used to being in the air.
I'm gonna make her like a calming tea, like chamomile.
Okay. I would say that's just a regular tea. That's not something you have to have a special recipe for or anything.
Nice little indica.
Unless you're trying to also poison her, Fox, with some other.
Really? No, like chamomile is just like it's something to calm the nerves, more or less.
Does it actually do anything though? Like I'm not a tea guy, but does it actually have any like legitimate effect, or is it just
for some people, like everybody reacts differently to certain things. So for some people, they find it calming. It's like a certain scents some people find calming.
All right.
So it's like lavender is calming for some people. So it's just.
That's fair. Yeah, but you clearly have plenty of mundane herbs that you would be able to do something like that without any issue. There we go. I'm trying to fix that. There we go. All right, Sarah, do you trust Artemis' tea?
Yeah, I'm just like propped up in a corner with a cup of tea, just every like 30 seconds glancing down real quick and then taking a sip, looking up.
All right.
So I was probably going to curl up with you.
That'd be great.
Yeah, you notice that both Karina and Bara are like eyes squished shut and just kind of standing against the wall, hands flat against the wall. and just not wanting to like look. They keep kind of occasionally peeking just to make sure that you guys aren't like falling or anything. But apart from that, they are both terrified.
Okay, I'll ask if they also want a common tea.
I think I'm okay. I don't want to risk even talking too much right now, or I think I may end up losing my lunch.
Okay.
But the slow, you guys are moving the ship downward now, right? You're not intending to drop them from space directly. So after the ship is cloaked, then and the ship begins to slowly decelerate. You can't actually see the crow fort itself because it is obscured by a very dense storm cloud. You can kind of see the vague ring of this kind of portal that is horizontal to the floor, or to the ground rather, that is just spewing out clouds of snow down below it. But that is obscuring the crow fort itself. And you are kind of slowly lowering down above the Fabian forces, this kind of ring surrounding the crow fort there. How low are you guys getting? What's the plan here? Give me some details here.
I would assume we would fly fairly low and visible to the very outskirt of the thickest point of the siege to let it fight its way into the middle. What do you think?
Like
Oh, wait.
25 feet up.
Are we dropping that on the soldiers or on the
No,
Amora?
we're gonna drop it on the Amora or whatever.
Amora, A-M-O-R-A.
Amora.
Sako, I think that was before you started playing. They are giant flying centipedes, kind of. And
okay.
Yeah. And there were 3 of them, at least as you had the last time you guys looked over the ramparts after you had seen the spy that turned into bugs. After you looked over the ramparts there were 3 of them that were curled up the way that centipedes will curl up when they're dead, like how they'll coil into a ball, kind of like that. There were 3 of them that were curled outside with their wings folded over the shells. Arteme actually wandered through those that coil as if it was a maze for a little while once. That was a fun session. Almost died when they were trying to rescue my Eevee. Anyways, though, you do see the 3 of them coiled up near the kind of southeast, and they're all kind of 3 big coils next to each other. You do know the heads are in the center, by the way. That's where Arteme initially found one of them, or realized what it was. Does that make sense? A big spiral with the head is in the center.
So maybe we just drop them directly on top of the Amora?
They are drugged still, so they're still very groggy right now.
Should probably wake them up, get them set, hype them up, and then make them cause the most damage. Drop them on those bugs.
We should find out first if when they wake up they're still going to be under Finn's control. Or if they're going to be like feral. Because if they're going to be feral when they wake up, we should drag them outside first.
Win-win either way. Dump them right on there.
Via Starboil, you guys communicate with Finn, and Finn is not sure. He hasn't seen. He can't communicate with them. Once they were drugged, they were below a consciousness level where he could no longer kind of affect their state. That's what he was what he translated it to Arteme earlier, that he couldn't. He wasn't sure what was happening. It wasn't the same as them being asleep inside the tanks.
So maybe we should drag them out just in case. I mean, if they're still under his control, great. But if not, at least they're not inside with us.
He says that though he can get them to go outside, they can go out onto the deck if we need them to. He's not sure if he'll be able to come back in. He might have to stay close to them.
But they won't attack him. Will they attack him if they go feral?
He doesn't know.
All right, Sarah will go down. Are we putting them outside? I mean, that's up to you guys.
Yeah, might as well put them outside.
Yeah.
All right, then if he's going to have them go outside, Sarah will go down, and she is, by the way, scooching on the floor because she's just not, she can't stand.
Okay. All right.
But she will go down to the door, so if something happens and Finn needs to come in real quick, she can hopefully help him hold them off long enough to get inside.
All right. Anybody else involved in this plan? I guess I need some details here. Sarah, gonna do this by yourself?
Hang on.
That's fine.
I'm gonna go out too.
I got my rod.
I'm gonna use weave plants to make some like grasping vines, like not like the spell, but just like vines, just to like hold them still. So if they do go feral, they'll have to break free before they can attack Finn, so he has time to come back in.
I think Weave Plants is a cantrip. I don't know if you can make that kind of, because you're not. I mean, they're not sentient or animated plants at all. You just want like thorns growing around them, kind of thing.
Yeah, just like thorns, or like it's a natural like creeping vine plant. So it's
Yeah,
like
that's
instead
fair.
of
All right.
using a trestle, they would be climbing on top of these instead.
You wouldn't be able to grow plants that are strong enough for that. I mean, in that they would trample them. They wouldn't be strong enough for them to be.
Well, they like
restrained.
you know how
but-
like some plants like what is it? Pea plants. They grow around something, so they like
Yeah.
cling onto it.
Yeah,
So
but they
it
won't.
wouldn't-
They won't restrain something that is, even human sized, let alone these things. And these things are much stronger. Like they would be
Well,
able to. tear
it
right
wouldn't
through
really restrain it, but they'd still have to like move a bit.
Okay, I'll say that you can grow around them every 6 seconds. You can do a 5-foot cube, so I mean you'd be able to grow this pretty quickly. That it would be difficult terrain. Essentially, they would still be able to move through it at half speed if they needed to, but you'd be able to. You're trying to grow this between the door and them, basically. So between you guys
Yeah.
and them. Okay, sure. Yeah, you'd be able to grow up enough to be able to do that. That's fine. Right, so Arteme trying to kind of create a little bit of a barrier with the plants. Sarah prepared with the with spells and the rod of absorption if needed. Anybody else going to be involved in this?
Do you guys need some extra offensive power? Need me to come down with you?
I mean, at this point, all I have is a rod with 12 slots in it and 1 first level, so any help would be fine with me, but you do whatever your character would do. Sarah just doesn't want Finn to die.
Yeah, I'll help too, just in case.
What are you going to do, G?
Or stand by, I guess.
Okay.
Try to grapple one or something.
Okay.
If it goes after Finn.
All right. I moved you guys down here. Nazim and Pogo, you guys are still up in the control room. Do you want me to move you down, or are you going to stay up there?
I think at this point we can communicate with other Nazim, so we can tell him to drop and move and all that stuff, right? So I think we're okay if we all leave.
He gives you the blink that says, that at least if you're asking him, he can hear you guys if you're if you shout to him inside the ship.
Okay, as long as he can hear us to bark commands, then I guess I'll go out with them.
Okay, Pogo. All right, he might have had to step away. I'm gonna go ahead and move him down as well, just in case. Don't forget, guys, you have the I should have reminded Justin already because he's sick anyways, but you can use the be right back /BRB or the button that I put on your guys' hotbars if you needed to. All right, there. I just dragged you down. What are you doing, Nazim?
Okay, so
You're down there with them. So I guess let me clarify. Are you just going to try to be ready in case something happens and then react, or do you have a specific plan that you want to do?
I'm going to just prepare in case this goes south, because if they wake up and they become feral, then we need to space these. Well, now we're not in space, but we're going to need to figure out how to kick these things out,
Okay.
push them out however we can. But essentially just support.
Already
I'm
out
gonna
on
let
the
you know
deck.
that I have 1 spell slot. And that's it.
You guys don't have a lot of resources on this, so
I used the Pearl of Power, and I got 1 level spell slot back, but it is Mass Suggestion, so I could probably use Mass Suggestion on them.
Isn't there any way that we could just wake them up behind a locked door, see what happens, and then just open the exterior door while we're right by them?
Well, they want to get off the ship, so they don't give a shit where. So if we just open the doors, they'll go out those doors.
Because if we cloak, fly above where we want to drop them, safely of course, wake them, give them a few seconds to acclimate, since we're invisible, they don't know we're there anyway. So if they acclimate and they're good and they're under our control, we tell them, jump out, have fun. If they're feral, the door's open, they jump out, they have fun on their own.
I mean, is there a way to keep watch in that room without actually being in that room to see if they go feral? Because
We can still see between the little slots in the doors.
I
Oh,
was
is
gonna see
the
if anybody
whole-
remembered that.
okay, so the whole inside is also yeah, right. I saw the floor. Never mind.
So I put you guys. I moved you down to Justin. I think you're AFK. I asked, but I just moved you down because you didn't answer. Did you want to stay up in the control room or did you want to come down?
If I finish my short rest, then I
Yeah.
will go back down and be with the gang for this release of the creatures.
Okay. All right. So then in that case, I moved everybody down. The little kind of lobby area that I'm describing, the bottom door, so the southern door that's actually south of the lithomorphs, that one is the shell, and it is open. That is the exterior shell that you guys had to put those 3 keys into to get in, remember? Which are still inside the shell, by the way. So if you guys need to recover those, basically, if you need to, put it in a parking garage, make sure you take the keys out because those 3 are still in there. But otherwise, they're fine and still inside the shell. But the door that you guys are standing in front of is the bone pillar. It's the portcullis thing with the fibrous muscle-like material that is between the bone shafts, the portcullis, the bars, basically. So in answer to Sarah and Nazim there, you guys can still see through that if you kind of just pull those back.
Okay, so those pieces aren't invisible then, like they block their view from us.
The pieces
clear.
inside are still okay. It's blurry. You can still see these little dots all over the place here. It's none of it's invisible. You're not standing, on clear glass. It is still, you guys can see that there are things there, and they would still be able to see through it to see you guys.
Do you think they can break through this? I mean, I'm asking Nazim at this point because I don't think anybody else knows.
Well, I mean, they could definitely stab through walls. But that's the nice thing. Just open the door, they'll go feral, they'll jump out, see what's below them, and have fun.
Ooh.
Easy food.
I'm gonna peek my head through the door and see if there are any of those air ducts in that room that they're in.
So I was gonna have both Pogo and Sarah make a check for this. You don't need to peek your head through because you can still kind of see through the kind of semi-translucent bars there. There are definitely holes in the ceiling above that lobby area.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think they can just go wherever the way they did before.
Yeah, if this goes bad, they can just jump right back into the shell, like inside the shell of the ship, which is how they were attacking you guys before.
Yeah, so why don't we have them like out on the deck and then we can just close the shell and hopefully they run off the side of the deck then.
With Finn still outside?
Well, I mean, we close it if they go feral and hopefully get Finn in before it closes. That's what I thought the original plan was. I didn't know they were in this room still.
Up to you guys.
Yeah. Open everything up while they're asleep, pull Finn in, secure everyone up, and then push these guys out, lock the door behind them, wake them up. If they go feral, huzzah, let them jump off, have fun. If not, huzzah, tell them to go kill.
Finn thinks he might have to be out there with him, but what if we had him like on our side of the door and them on their side and then close it real quick if they go feral?
Stargoyle Finn via Stargoyle tells you he thinks that would probably be okay. He's not sure, but it seems like it wouldn't be a bad thing to try at least. I mean, if they go angry from there, Sevastopol can keep them out. They won't be able to get back in. If they're still asleep, though, and you guys want them to do something when they hit the ground, they're just going to be dead meat.
Well,
They're still all groggy.
Sitting on the deck until they wake up.
Oh, you guys want to just float here until they wake up and then jump until they get angry again on their own and jump off?
Well, weren't we gonna use Mage Hand to give them that like Red Bull?
The red meat tea.
Can you do Mage Hand when you can't see? I guess never mind. The outer part of the shell is still. It is a wall that you can see through. I guess you could probably still Mage Hand through a window, right? I don't think a window prevents it.
And the door is still open.
It is right now. I just mean if you closed it, but yeah, that's fine. I would still say that as long as you can see, because I don't think Mage Hand cares if there's a wall in between you, as long as you can see through the wall, which is essentially a window, and that's where you're at right now. So yeah, that's fine. I would still allow that to work. All right. So in that case, then Finn via Stargoyle, infers the message along and kind of slowly stumbles them forward. They are still very moving very groggily, like they're drunk essentially, and shuffles them out the front of the shell. Are you guys? The door right here, the port. Well, I'm moving my cursor, and you guys can't see it. This one here that I'm opening and closing, that is the bar is closed right now. Are you guys going to move that down? You're going to walk through it?
Yeah, I mean, if they're going outside, then yeah, I'd stand in this room.
Okay, because the shell is open. There won't if they wake up, you guys are not in any way. So you're going to close the shell and then give them the tea. Is your hope, and then just wait until they wake up? All right.
How long did it take for the shell to close?
It was really quick. It's like it was the matter of a couple of seconds. So
Right. So if they're on the deck and we're in the room with the shell open, and I give them their stuff and we wait for them to wake up.
Yeah,
When they
based
go
on
for
the
shut
based on the time that it took the somnolent to take effect, you don't feel like the red mint tea will. It's not going to be instant either. It's not an ephedrine. What is the thing when somebody has a seizure and you have to hit them in the heart with something?
Adrenaline?
Yeah,
Yeah,
is it just adrenaline shot? Yeah, okay.
I think so.
It's
The epinephrine is what I was thinking, an EpiPen, yeah, but I think that's just for an anaphylactic shock, not an adrenaline shot. But yeah, anyway, same idea. It's not an instant thing. You imagine it'll probably take a minute or something at least to take effect. So, all right, then in that case, he kind of shuffles them outside. You guys all make your way into the lobby. I don't have another room below it, so we'll just on this same map. So we'll just translate that as that being that same door. It is quite bright outside again, of course, now that you are low enough into the atmosphere that you can actually, feel like you're below the sun rather than above, even though obviously you weren't, but, the light is still visible down here instead of where you were. It is cold again. Now there's a blast of the freezing air coming in from the snowy portal not far from you, in a lateral motion not far from you. And the two elithomorphs kind of stumbling their way forward, just stand there still pretty docile, with Finn kind of floating between them. There's a little bit that Arteme would see this below passive, and probably Sarah with perception, and I think Nazim maybe has high enough perception. Anyways, you guys would recognize a very subtle shiver in Finn. He's clearly anxious and a little nervous. What are you doing?
Sorry, I missed that very last thing. They are on the deck. We are above their drop point. We're heading down.
Yeah, you guys are hovering. Ship is cloaked above the Amoras. You can see as well. You can't see them directly because the deck is in the way, but you do know that you're above the Amoras. Yes.
I'm just gonna kind of yell back, "Do a barrel roll."
Oh wait, they're still asleep.
I'm just gonna wake them up.
The fall probably would, but they would probably just get eaten real fast. So
I'm gonna use do we have the Red Bull stuff ready?
Arteme was brewing it, so I imagine that it was right. So, Arteme, Fox.
Sorry, what was that?
Did you already had the red mint brewed?
Yeah, I already had tea leaves ready, so I just had to add the water and leave it.
Okay. Yeah, so that's ready to go.
I'll just look at Finn. Can you have them open their mouths?
Is Finn out there still?
Finn is out there with them. There isn't any way to do this unless you guys close the door with him inside. But you guys need the tea on the other side, obviously, too, before that.
Luckily,
tea
since
can't pass through.
he floats, so I don't know if the barrel roll will even affect him. I don't know.
Well, the ship. I mean, you guys wouldn't that'd be a problem for you if this thing barrel rolled. You guys are standing between vats of caustic liquid. You don't really want that splashing on you either.
In short, I don't think the ship can do a barrel roll.
It probably can. It just would be a problem for everybody on board, is all. So
once and then crash.
Yeah. But Sarah, Arteme has the tea ready for you. You've grabbed it with Mage Hand. Two little kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The ceramic clay cups of it. Finn, you ask that of him. Their jaws open, and it's just a deluge of this acrid saliva that's splashing onto the deck.
Yep, I'm just gonna toss one in one mouth and toss one in the other.
All right. They both tossed in, and they almost immediately just pour right back out again. You don't know if they actually absorbed any of it, but they are kind of just standing there. They're not, you tried to give them liquid when they're like spilling liquid out of their mouths already from this acidic saliva. Artime fed it to them soaked in meat, so that was a little bit different than just, putting it on their tongue and it just falls right back out again.
Well, we can't like shove a chunk of food in their mouth while they're sleeping. That's just gonna choke them.
I mean, whether you wake them up or not is up to you, or how you guys do so is up to you. Really, all of it is, of course. But yeah, the tea did not have an effect when you just told them to open their mouth and pour it on their tongue.
Can I use Mage Hand to kind of like push them a little bit, see if I can like shake them awake a little?
Give me. It's not even really an animal handling check. It's whether you can, because you can't do any damage with it. Like it's Mage Hand.
I'm just trying to like shake them a little bit, see if
they've got a ticklish spot.
What if I just shot one with a crossbow, guys? What if I just pinged one with a crossbow?
I mean, you could.
Finn definitely is like nervous standing between them while you guys are trying to wake them up, and he already can't reach them to.
Finn back. Just bring Finn back. We don't need Finn out there anymore.
Okay. All right, then you say that to him. Stargoyle kind of looks in his direction, translate the message, and Finn kind of floats back in, still like nervous, and he floats in behind Norok. He's still bigger than Norok, but he like floats in behind Norok.
Yeah, we don't need him out there. That's just not helping any.
You do notice that once he's floated in, though, the two of them it's a very slight tensing of the muscles. They kind of begin to stand up straight a little bit. The further he gets away from them.
All right, just let them wake up here. It shouldn't take too long. And can they? We're low enough now. I'm sure they can see and hear the commotion on the ground, right?
Right now there's too much noise from the storm to hear anything from below. You guys are like at level basically with the storm that's below, coming in from this portal, not far from you. But they would be able to see it for sure if they, move to the side and were able to look over the side. They do have tremor sense, which they wouldn't be feeling anything up here except for you guys. So
we don't barrel roll. We just turn the ship a bit to the left. They slide on the deck.
45 degrees.
Not 45, like 20 degrees. They slide that way.
Somebody go out there with a broom and just shove at them until they fall.
Shoot them over the edge.
I mean, you could try shooting them. I don't think
The shell is still open. Keep that in mind. The shell is open, and it does take a couple seconds to close. It's not instant.
You can close the shell, right? Why do you need the shell open?
You guys can. That's what I'm saying. You guys can close it if you want to. Just you won't be able to shoot them then, obviously, either. So what do you guys could just walk me through this here? Honestly, the reason that I'm being careful about this is because this actually, you do, both of you or all of you rather, since you have put one Amora down already with the help, obviously, of the rest of the Groblanders. If these two land on the Amora, that could have a significant impact on the military force that the Vabians have right side of the Crow Fort. So this actually could have a significant benefit potentially, assuming
I'm gonna yell down to Nazim B to rotate the ship a few degrees to port.
Just to kind of gently nudge them in that
direction? They nudge to the side and maybe hit the railing and wake up, and then they can see food and these big things over the top. Okay.
Give me. You do feel the ship beginning to slowly lilt, like very, very slowly, enough, so nobody's going to be thrown off their feet. But give me a percentile roll.
Perfect. That's what I've always
wanted. As you watch, and the ship is slowly tilting off to the off to one side here. You see the both of them. One of them kind of begins to stumble a little bit, and then his right leg shoots out to the right and stabilizes himself. And then the other one, a couple seconds later, he starts to stumble and does the same thing. He kind of falls a little bit forward, and then catches himself. And it's just they're both kind of standing there with one foot sticking out of the side to keep themselves from falling.
I can't see over the railing yet.
They are not looking. They're still just standing there. They're slightly tense, but they're not actively moving beyond having caught themselves to keep themselves from falling. They're still drugged. Basically, you guys gave them a sleeping pill and haven't been able to wake them up at all.
The drugs. Who drugged up these things? Whose decision was that? I don't think I was in the room.
You were over the top. But remember, you guys also had the potential threat of them being woken up too soon. So that was
Yeah, we didn't want them to wake up and destroy us, so we kind of...
We'll wait a few more minutes until we can get them over the edge.
What if
Are
we
they-
What if we just hover here and take watches, and some of us sleep and some of us stay awake, and we just switch back and forth until they wake up and hopefully jump off the side?
Well, I don't think it's going to take that long. I can cast a spell on them. It's just, I don't want to fail with this. And they can't exactly understand what I'm saying, but
It's been about 2 hours or so since the somnolent was given to them. You don't know their physiology at all, even Artemis' assessment with her earlier medicine check. But on a human, they would sleep for 8 hours. You do expect the metabolism of these creatures to be probably quite a bit faster.
But I
whether that
brewed
be
one
3 hours
potion
or 5.
for both.
You did, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. On
so
a human,
they each had half a dose.
Oh, one that you split. Okay. That's fair. I assumed it was one for each. That's fair. So
well,
in a
without knowing
human,
the
then,
physiology, I want to give them a full dose because...
if anything, though, I would have expected you to overdo it because you would have expected their metabolism to be higher, not underdo it. Does that make sense?
I guess, yeah, it would have made more sense because, like, we wanted them to wake up immediately, not, like, come awake comfortably over a amount of time.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, all of these there's too many variables for anybody, even Artemis, to have been sure on how long it would take. So, I mean, it's if you guys are going to just kind of, keep watch and keep the shell closed, that seems totally feasible. That seems like a reasonable plan, unless you guys have an alternative.
Can Finboy here speak to him from where he's at, or does he have to be closer to speak to him?
He's not able to communicate with them at all. As soon as the somnolent took effect, he was no longer able to communicate with them.
I mean, when they wake up, does he have to be closer?
He did have to be pretty close. Yeah, he did have to be pretty close. Yeah.
Well, Finn, do you want to just hang out by them, and then when they wake up, and you can talk to them, tell them that, they can just jump right over the edge, and they can feed as much as they want on those things over the side.
He does not seem to
like
that answer.
You don't like that idea? All right, you know what? It's fine. We'll just wait here, and I've got a new powerful spell anyways. I could probably get them to go jump over the side without too much trouble. Plus, I mean, they know that we're getting them somewhere with food. They can feel that the ship's leaning. Maybe they'll just be curious and go look over the side. But if they go to do anything else, like jump into the holes into the ship or anything, I'm going to immediately cast Mass Suggestion on them.
Okay.
Which is my last fucking thing.
Then this is going to take some time. So unless anybody else is doing anything else, you're basically going to be, everybody watching until something happens, and that might be an hour, it might be 2 hours. You don't know. Could be longer. You just don't know how long it's going to take for the sleeping pill to wear off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll just keep it vigil for now, I guess.
Yeah, if everybody's just keeping watch, that's totally fine. We'll go with that. I just want to make sure that nobody else had a now plan to do. All right.
The tour is kind of on hold while we're waiting for this.
They won't move anyways. Both Karina and Bara are still on the second floor in the kind of cargo area, and they are like, well, you can't you can see a blurry spot when you look in that direction.
Yeah, I would have left side with them just to make sure they're okay.
Okay. Yeah, but you don't see them. They don't seem like they're moving. They look like they're probably sitting on the floor in a ball and not moving.
Okay.
Yeah. But about probably hour and a half or so pass. The sun, now that you guys are low enough that the sun is making it far enough in the sky, it's beginning to get kind of low on the horizon of the west there, and you are finally seeing some stirring, some actual more natural movement for these creatures now that they're appearing to start to awaken. They both kind of lift up a little bit, kind of craning the heads around, kind of spinning in place, keeping their feet planted, like they're trying not to tip off the side, and beginning to kind of spin in place. And they both kind of almost at the same time, one turning left, one turning right, spin and look in your direction. The shell is between you. The shell is closed, but it is semi-translucent. They can see through it and see that you're there. And they kind of slowly begin
by just
walking
pointing to the edge of the ship, just pointing to the edge of the ship, like pointing to the left.
Give me Give me. It wouldn't be a persuasion check because they're not going to understand what that means. The pointing. So it won't be persuasion, but give me a performance maybe for the the amount of animation, if that would draw their attention, maybe like an animated point kind of a thing.
Jumping up and down and like.
Okay, yeah, all right. That sounds that makes sense then. All right, all right. The leftmost of the two, and the ones that you're facing, anyways, sees this and almost like you've thrown something, basically like a dog that's chasing after a ball that you've thrown, kind of leaps off towards the side, kind of careening down to the edge, feet having to catch into the side of the rail as it's kind of starting to look over the side. In fact, I'm gonna have it make a dex save to see if maybe it just flat out falls over.
I mean, that'd take care of one.
I mean, it's normally I wouldn't because they're pretty dexterous anyways, but because it is drugged up. No, it's fine. It stops on the edge, but it's peering over the side, and you can see it kind of craning its neck forward without falling off the side, and then you see it kind of like almost crumbling in on itself, kind of clambering down over the side. It kind of basically reaches its foreclaws down by its feet, except on the other side of the rail, and clambers over the side of the ship, and you don't see it anymore.
And
You
the other
didn't feel
one?
the ship. The other one is still just staring at you guys and kind of slowly moving its way, almost hunter-like, towards the shell, which is between you and it. Anybody doing anything?
I'm just gonna cast Mass Suggestion.
Why not? Okay.
All right. Here. So you, by the way, you didn't feel the ship like these guys have enough weight that you would feel some movement in the ship if one jumps off. The other one didn't leave. He's just over the other side of it. He's like on the bottom of the ship.
See if I might have to see the other creature as well. Give me a moment here.
You're trying to hit both.
12 creatures, your
Give him a little
choice.
fuss road off the edge of this thing.
Yeah, because if I can only see one, I'm just gonna cast it on one.
I mean, if you want to have casted it when they were both still visible, that's fine. The other one like clambered over the side, but it did take a few seconds for that to happen. So if you would have tried it as this one was approaching, it was happening at the same time, anyways.
If that's an option, then I would cast.
Yeah, that's fine.
on
I mean, that was happening at the same time. I had to describe one and the other because I don't exist in the fourth dimension yet.
Yeah, because I definitely thought you meant the first one already jumped off. Anyways.
No, the other one was approaching the shell as you had made that
one of
motion.
them made it anyways.
If they
But
got a shove 15 feet, but
I am just going to give it the command to the one that I'm going to give the command to both, but it only works on one. To jump off and eat the giant bug-looking things.
Okay, all right. Roll flip a coin for me, so it'll be a D2. So do /R D2 like that. Does that work? Yeah. So /R like this.
No, that's not what. Oh, wait.
There you go.
/R.
/R space D2. 1 is the one that was already jumping. 2 is the one. All right. So 1 is the one that was already over the edge. So he fails. But now he is awake and has been given the command to jump down and eat the bug. So you do feel a kind of a shiver in the ship as it leaps off. The other one is still approaching the shell.
Okay, that's all I got, guys, and I'm gonna start running back to the controller.
All right.
All right. Do these things? They don't have like ears, so they can't hear, can they?
They have tremor sense. So beyond that, you don't actually know what senses they. What's
I
that?
don't. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
They have blind sight and tremor sense, so they can see. It doesn't specify anything about hearing. But you know what? They're the kind of predator they are. You feel like they probably would. They do have keen senses as well. Though it lacks visual sight, the creature has advantage on ability checks to sense presence of others, whether by sound, smell, or ground vibrations.
Okay, so I am going to. No, that's not it. There's the candle. No, make color small mark. All right, so I'm gonna make like with prestidigitation, like little like tiny fireworks off the side of the ship where I want it to go and see if it like goes to investigate what the hell that is.
Prestidigitation can make sound, right?
I'm not sure. It
Or is it
makes an
silent?
yes,
image.
it could do prestidigitation. It can make small, loud.
Well, that's minor
sounds.
illusion. You're thinking of minor illusion.
Oh,
You know what?
Prestidigitation.
I lied.
It
I lied.
just-
Pogo, forgetting he can do stuff, actually stops and then runs back and casts minor illusion.
You
Yeah,
forget
that's
cantrips
very
are a
lucky.
thing?
He forgot that
Minor illusion
he
as
forgot
well
he
if you
did
need
that.
it.
Yeah.
So he's going to do minor illusion of a very sexy lithomorph wearing a bikini.
This is just a
I'll
Bugs
lift
Bunny
up
situation.
more
Obviously
lipstick.
smaller, but like over on that other side of the ship, like a sexy
Okay.
lithomorph, waving
Alright.
and blowing a kiss.
All right, I'll save because Nazim also he can actually do 3 minor illusions at the same time. So between the two of you and Sarah's prestidigitation of fireworks, that would almost certainly, because prestidigitation can't do sound, right?
No, it's just an image.
It's always silent. Okay.
Yeah.
Between the nice job, Sako. Good job finding a sexy elithomorph. Um, why does that even exist? I fucking hate this planet, man. Like, who took the time to do that? Why?
Not that Rule 34 thing.
Yeah. Anyways, but that, I mean, there's definitely enough. Like these kind of ultra apex predators would certainly be, able to see something like that. And go ahead and give me one of you, whoever wants to make the roll. It'll be just roll of percentile dice for me, but whoever wants to make it, Sarah, Nazim, or Topogo.
One of you guys can do it if you want.
50-50 chance. Like, he'll definitely notice it, but whether he goes that way or not.
I'll roll a D. What is it? D100.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be a skill check necessarily because it's. You know what? That's fine. It can. Okay. We'll. I guess persuasion isn't quite right because you're not really persuading it, but that's probably the closest one I can think of. Go ahead and make a persuasion check, and you can do it with advantage because you have Pogo and Sarah helping as well.
All right. Persuasion with advantage coming up.
All right. The creature that it did it already approached the shell and had brought up one clawed hand and begun to kind of like scratch away at the shell. Did these kind of silent explosions of fireworks and this semi-translucent, clearly not solid elithomorph amalgamation, whatever he was trying to create it as, whatever he thought a female elithomorph would look like. Off the side of the deck, it kind of spins its head in place and immediately dives off. Not even like just with all the full force of a jump of its legs off of the deck. Not even trying to slowly move towards the edge or anything else. Just leaps off and then goes barreling through the sky and downward. You guys can't actually see, but both of the elithomorphs have fallen towards the planet. All right, but I mean, you're seeing you're seeing the shape below. Yeah, but as soon as the shape is like over the Vabian army, you're going to be seeing like a dark gray over another dark gray. You know what I mean? You won't be able to make out the individual things anymore, especially through the blur of the deck.
I thought we were only like 30 feet up.
No. You can't be that high. I mean, if you were that low, everything would still see you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would assumed you were basically around the same level as the storm that's coming in through the portal there, which is 200 feet up or so. So, right. Which is still like that would already be like you would probably be visible if it weren't for the gray skies from the storm.
I've instantly regretted going down the Rule 34 xenomorph hole right now. This is this is instant regret.
I don't disagree with that at all after just that one picture. All right. Both of them though off of the side, you get a less than a minute goes by, and Sarah, actually anybody that's wearing the walkie-talkie, which is basically everybody except for Nazim, right? Nazim's the only one that doesn't have one.
Yep, no walkie-talkie.
All of you hear, yeah, something's happening. That's definitely something happening. Was you? I assume that was you, right? It fell out from you guys dropped those things.
Yeah, we figured the Amora would be better than on top of the soldiers.
Yeah, they definitely don't look happy. Can you see them? And you look down, and you can see the Amora because they're giant shapes. They're not just not the army, but these kind of spiral shapes. 2 of them have lifted up the head, so it's still a spiral, but this giant, centipede-like face, basically, with two big wings that are beginning to unfurl off of each of their backs, kind of lift up and start snapping down like snakes trying to snap down towards its own body. Both of them trying to, almost attacking themselves, clearly being, you guys know what's happening, but apparently the rest of the Vabians don't. But you can see these kind of massive shapes blurry through the bottom of the deck, just kind of attacking themselves almost, and then one kind of flashing out of the other. One of the Amor kind of snapping out of the other and kind of snaps into its neck and seems like he's pulling on its neck as the 2 of them begin to fight each other. Godzilla style, like Godzilla versus Mothra type movie. So what are they going to do? Are they going to be a problem for us?
I doubt they'll get that far.
They seem to have pissed off those bugs, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll survive pissing off the bugs. They might kill 1 or 2.
A few seconds go by, and there is a terrible acrid smell, the same one that you guys smelled when the first Amora was killed, when it was knocked out of the sky. It's releasing whatever, pheromone, whatever, maybe it's blood, you don't know, but the smell that came out from the one that died when it crashed out of the sky and then rolled across the ground and crashed into the crow fort. And one of them is clearly badly wounded already. The one that was bit into, you can't see it very well, but the other one, the one that was kind of bit into the neck of the other, he is kind of pulled away, and the other one is kind of stumbling over to the side and is like kind of trying to pull itself away on the ground, like over the Vabian forces. They were in the middle, surrounded by all the dead, the Vabian soldiers, and it's like just was clambering over the dead soldiers, just smashing them as it's trying to pull away. What are you guys doing?
Well, I was gonna lie and say it wasn't us for plausible deniability, but someone already messed that up over the walkie-talkies.
You guys are still inside. How do I put this here? You guys watching this kind of, these blurry shapes of these two gargantuan centipedes that were fighting. What happened, by the way, is you gather anyways that one of them, the one of the Elithomorph had jumped to the other, and they were both attacking one, and then the Amora attacked it and ended up biting the other Amora, and so on. So it's clear that they kind of collateral damaged, end up badly wounding at least one.
I think we just let's, something we didn't think about until right now is they might bring these guys back to life and use them in their army later. Possibility.
As you're saying that, you hear from Ozzy over the Rocky Talkies, everybody except for Nazim. They're looking up now. There's a whole row of archers that are looking up, trying to see where those things came from.
Are we like 1,000? How high up are we?
200 feet. Very much within long range, or longbow range.
Yeah, but barely. All right.
No, 300 yards. Longbow's 300 yards.
Let's start heading back to the capital. Go.
GTFO.
ZMB, we got to go up and away.
One of you guys can't see this really well. You know what? Actually, all of you that are looking down, there's a bright flash, like a fireball from below.
Do we still have that armor from the Juthrans? I'm gonna throw the Juthrans armor down.
Nice. You literally are doing the Donald Trump false flag bullshit. I'm trying to make him believe it's somebody else.
I think we do.
Perhaps we'll throw a couple of swatches of leather from other people.
Plate armor. Yeah. I'm going through it. I'm just tossing the fucking heavy plate armor. Tossing it all down.
The ship's slowly righting itself, as Nazim B tries to begin to lift it off, first leveling it, and then beginning to lift off. You see this slowly growing bright orange spot from beneath the ship as it gets larger and larger, and then impacts the bottom of the ship. There is an explosion of a fireball across the bottom of the deck. Not seeing it, but just seeing a disturbance in the snow that's falling, because the ship, is still semi-translucent, but you can still see if you look close enough, just not at 200 feet. But can see, of course, that the snow is not falling from that space, and this is where those things dropped from. Clearly, the attention has now been drawn as all of the Erdemen and Sirdemen below, including their archers, have taken aim and begun to fire on the ship as Nazim B begins to lift off. He's pulling the ship up as fast as he can. There are other impacts, nothing that seems to be too dramatic, although there is a very low wail, like a cry, that is clearly coming from the ship somewhere. You're not sure where, but the ship is clearly injured, and both Finn and Stargoyle are nervous. Like they're empathetic enough that they can feel the Sevastopol's harm. Not the kind of injury that the crash took, but clearly hadn't fully recovered just from that entirely just yet anyway, as she lifts off up into the sky. You do make it above the portal, though. Pardon me. The portal that the storm is coming, the snow is coming down through, and the plinks of arrows and other assaults begin to fade, as you probably are no longer visible. At least you gather that a shot would not be likely from this high. But you are far enough away from it that at least it seems like the threat is no longer present. What are you guys doing?
I'm gonna use Cure Wounds on the ship.
You're not quite sure how that would work. I'll go ahead and tell you that you can do it, but put it to you this way. This is a very large creature and have many thousands of hit points, and probably let's call it around 1,000. That
Okay,
cure
it
wounds.
probably wouldn't do much, but it'll
Yeah,
help.
no,
a
that's what I'm
bit,
saying. Yeah,
like-
exactly. It's like it's still you do feel like it will probably still help, but you don't know. Like it would probably take a lot of casts basically before you would really have a huge impact. But I mean, if anything, for emotional support, you do feel like the ship would probably recognize that you're trying to help.
So I'm
Alright.
going to use it twice at level 1, and it's going to upcast to level 3 because of the Wood Sage's course.
All right, go ahead and roll the heals.
All right, everybody. What do we? I don't want to take this ship to the Crow Forts, right? We don't want to leave it there. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
No. But we also
So-
can't just like leave it in the capital either, can we? Well, no, we have to go meet back up with that other ship that we left behind. We still have
We'll
guys
bring
up
them back there. I say we bring them back. We drop them back off towards that area, and then maybe we find a nice spot with a portal that's with a transportation circle that we could leave this by, and then go back and forth from the Crow Fort should we need to.
Arwell pipes up. You need the circle. It's up there. You can just use the one that's already here.
Oh, we have one.
there's a teleportation circle in the ship.
Yeah. How do you
Is
think
there indoor
How do you
plumbing
think
too?
these guys? And he takes his claw, and you can see just like an elbow because you can't really see the claw in front of his face, but it's clear that he's hanging his claw in front of his face. These guys, they always use these. Of course, there's one.
Will you take me up to that? And I'm gonna sketch it out
Sure.
in my book, my notebook.
Yeah, he takes you up to essentially the cargo room, the same place where the boxes are still there, where the fuel, those crates still are, and the cells that the lithomorphs were in. And sure enough, there's you guys hadn't really noted, but you weren't really looking. I guess actually Arteme would have seen it when she was doing the tour. But yeah, there's a teleportation circle on the floor.
So then we can leave the ship anywhere as long as it's still on this plane of existence and get there.
Yeah, assuming Nazim B doesn't just take it.
You guys were very subtly discussing whether to just space him too. They don't kick him off. Just let Nazim A fly
Well,
the ship.
I'm kind of leaving it up to Nazim, but I don't know if it's a good idea to keep two of him on board.
Well, yeah, but then
We
he
can
can come
keep
with
some
us.
here.
Leave him with the ship.
Yeah, that
He's
is the trouble. Is that
pilot.
you do need? Yeah, exactly. Like if Nazim, basically, if somebody isn't piloting the ship, or if you guys get rid of Nazim B, then Nazim A has to pilot it, and he can't be, involved in your guys' shenanigans because he has to be piloting.
I could be kind of in your involved in shenanigans. Just fly with you and land close by, and it'll be a small away team.
Real quick, before we do anything else, there aren't any more of those lithid things on board, right?
Just part of a tail of one of them.
All right, and there's only the two Nazims on board, right? There's no more inside some sort of
Okay,
pool
and
or-
the Illithids can't, like, regenerate from a tail, right? Like, they're not that kind of creature.
Does not seem so. Probably
Alright.
could regrow a tail, but
Couple
couldn't
dead
regrow the
ones
rest of the creature from the tail.
There are a couple dead ones lying around the ship still. All right. So, anything else that's very dangerous on this ship that we should know about?
Just the relic,
The relic?
What is that?
the little dog things.
Oh, those are dangerous? I mean, I'm not going to let one close to me, but I wasn't sure if they're dangerous.
Just to you,
The
psychologically.
tribbles.
Just to me.
just to Kogo, who is terrified of them apparently.
Oh, right in the face. I don't care. Well, then, what do we have to do? We weren't really expecting to find this ship, and it definitely makes moving around the continent easier. We could take it to do your test thing. We could take it to the capital to speak to the king, as long as we maybe hide it outside a bit.
Regardless
I
of what we
mean-
decide, the ship, we're keeping it. I can
Yeah,
pilot
no.
this thing anywhere you need. Nazim B, if you prefer, can also pilot it as well. But this will be our new mode of transport. No longer spending 4 months walking through the mountains. We can take care of that in like an hour and a half.
That sounds amazing. Why don't we ask Nazim B what he wants? Like, does he want to just stay with the ship and pilot it while we, go do our shit?
I mean, perhaps.
Maybe
he's
he
anything
wants
like
to go explore the world by himself.
maybe he wants to go get a nursing degree.
He wants to learn VCR repair.
Yeah, repair. He wants to be a plumber.
We'll just hand wave that you guys are in the same room, or at least able to ask him when he's no longer having to pilot the ship. I mean, I'm fine with flying the ship. It's honestly surprisingly fun. Kind of didn't really expect that. It's an interesting situation.
All right.
Not
I mean, I don't want to do it forever or anything, but if we're just flying around, I guess when we're somewhere that you guys need to go off and do something, I'll entertain myself in other ways. But at least as far as getting the ship around, that's I enjoyed that part very much.
I mean, so both Nazeems could take turns flying if one of them gets bored.
He
Or we
shrugs.
just take the other Nazeem out if this Nazeem is being all mouthy.
Wait, which one is this Nazeem are you referring to?
No.
Flip a coin, right?
The good news is you can trust both Nazeems equally to take care of you with the ship.
Thank you for flying
was-
Nazeem Air. I hope your flight was enjoyable. So let's get these ladies back to the other Empire ship.
Mhm.
How's that sound?
Yeah, so since we're coming up to time here anyway, guys, I want you guys to... There's a lot of possible openings. This is what Justin was getting at just a minute ago. There's a lot of possible things that you guys can go do. But me as a DM, so out of narrative, as a DM, I need an idea of what it is you guys intend to go do next. I had a handful of things that were kind of, things that you could have done here, but you didn't really do any of those. So, like, I didn't have... didn't have anything specific for for prepared because I didn't know where you guys were going, except for these kind of minor things that they didn't come up. So those can come up and that's fine, but I don't want to have, I want to have an idea of what your guys' goal is, of what your next goal is, so I can start to prepare those things. Does that make sense?
Weren't we going to be going to search for Clover?
Yeah, so if you want to go back to the Imperial City of Mist, there are things for you to do there for sure. Clover is still missing there. That is also where Theodore and Avar are right now. That's where you sent them back to, so they're in the city. There are Pogo has some things there, and that he's left a lot of open threads when jumping out of second floor windows of wives' manors that he wasn't supposed to be in, things like that. So there's potential risks of
Pogo shenanigans.
Yeah, Pogo risks of him being spotted.
Pogo's got risks all over too.
Yeah, that's fair, but it is a big city. There's a lot more risks of people that can see you there, recognize you, especially with your Giuseppe disguise being falling apart. Anyway,
we don't know. We don't really know much more about Carcosa either. Like, we've got a bunch of clues, but I don't think we know where we could go for the next one. So we'll have to just talk to people.
You do know, as it's been described to you, there's a black mile to the surface, which you have translated as being way, way down at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, but that's not super duper helpful.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't know where that is.
You got to go talk to someone about where that would be, and the capital is probably a good spot to find people who have knowledge on all sorts of stuff.
You've also, specifically for Carcosa, you've been told to seek the Flaxen sign. Remember that as well.
We can also see if we can get the if we go to the capital city, we can see if we can get some stuff fixed or repaired or uncursed.
Yeah, we gotta fix this broom.
And buy some stuff. Also, okay, the ship could go into space. Can it go underwater?
Yep. In fact, did I mess this up? I might have. Yeah, goddammit, I messed this one up. Hold on. I changed this one because I did it literally while you guys were deciding to go into space, because originally I had thought you guys were going to the ocean, so I'd already put the sea one on here. Let me change it real quick. It might take a minute for it to load for you guys.
What are we doing with Flaxen again?
To seek the Flaxen sign. Okay, so Santhus, the old man who you have his jawbone in your pocket, the one that turned to dust, a dusty old skeleton in the morning. He had told, one of the things he had told you was to seek the Flaxen sign, which, Flaxen is a word for yellow or gold.
Gotcha.
Oh, god damn it. I should have realized that you knew what I was saying. You just were looking for the joke. That's such a good clip. And let me change. That's that one. Let me change this one. Yeah, I have that one. Not that this actually matters. Go ahead and keep talking, guys. I'm going to put the...
so we have that. So a bunch of stuff at the Imperial City, and then we have the tower that
First and foremost, do we have anything that's time sensitive or anything that would be mission critical? Something that would assist us tremendously if we completed, because we can knock those out super quick with this thing.
the tower is time critical. I don't know what kind of time she
But
has.
that's months away. Yeah, that's not.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's a month
it's
away.
months, and once I pass it, it may lead to some other stuff that is going to happen that I haven't quite talked.
So
No,
in a few
like
months,
Sarah and I
Sarah
could
has
still keep working on her spells on the way there, and I could learn a few things, even though it's not my magic. I could like try and like learn things that I could expand my own magic with.
is there anything we can be doing now to enhance your experience prior to this occurrence in a few months?
I mean, Corin Xantalis has been sending me spells that I need to, study. But once I pass, there is something big that will eventually happen that I haven't really talked to you guys about, which I probably should at some point.
Are you going to be changing as a woman?
No.
Other changes?
Refresh if you guys didn't already. You can keep talking. Just refresh while you're doing it.
No, it's right. So I'm supposed to help Corin Xantalis go to the Shadow Plane to kill the old leader of. He was the old leader of Vabi? No. He was-
Oh, the original one that like has control over death or whatever.
You're referring to Shadow Throne specifically.
Yeah.
He's what would be essentially the king. Remember the deck of doctrines? So you've got the kings, the jacks, and so on. He's the king in that sense, but he's the head of High House Sorcanal.
Just real quick, the damage that we took in the ship, how long does it look like it may take to heal up? Because it is self-healing.
It is self-healing, and that is pretty rapid, but it might be a day.
Okay, so we don't have to wait weeks or months. This is just a few
No,
days
no.
situation.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Although
it also gets
leaving...
27 points of healing from me.
Oh shit! Okay, I saw you use the healing spirit. I didn't realize that was what it was for. That you were pouring
It's
that
because
in.
I was
Okay.
trying to see like the healing spirit is oh come on think it's D6s and the cure wounds is D8s. So I just calculated it, but I had selected the healing spirit. So when I did the spell or did the calculation of the 6d8, it ended up with that instead.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's still. She didn't take a ton of damage, anyways. The arrows honestly wouldn't do any damage. So you don't feel like those would have hurt. Although you could hear them, they would blink against the ship. The fireballs were the problem, and there were only a couple that were able to actually, find purchase, basically. So she didn't take a huge amount of damage, especially not for as big of a ship as she is. So you do feel like within a day she'll be fine.
Oh, it's a
Between those
bit more
two.
than that because it's plus my spell modifier.
Alright, so we don't
Um,
have to worry about the ship then at all. Now we just got to worry about how can we maximize the amount of, I guess, traveling and experience and strength building within our team prior to a time critical or time sensitive event.
Well,
So-
what Sarah was just describing there,
He's an
know.
ascended, pretty much, that Corin Xantalis wants to go kill.
he's a very old ascended. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So if you guys are going to help with that one is a couple of months away. That's before the end of the year. You guys are October 20th? No, October 11th. Sorry, thereabouts. So before the end of the year.
Yeah. So like.
So I say we return these peeps to the capital or to their ship. They're from the capital, so we might just go drop them off at the capital, if I remember
Well,
correctly.
okay, but
Yeah, but their
she's
ship
the
is
sergeant.
waiting for them.
Yeah, you need to get them back to their ship. Like that's the sergeant of a squad. You can't just drop her off half the continent away. I mean, you could, but it would be kind of a dick move. But up to you guys. So, for now, anyways, I guess we'll assume that that's your first intent is to regroup with the Solera Venta, and then afterwards, what is so that I can prepare, decide as a group what you guys want to do, like what your next kind of mission is, so that I can kind of
Let's
have
go
an
to
idea.
the capital. Let's try to find Clover.
Yeah, there's a lot to do in the capital.
Yeah, even if
Yeah.
it's just the city, like you don't have to be super precise, but even just saying that if you're going to the capital, that's fine. That gives me enough,
So we're not
of
gonna.
an
We don't
idea.
want to fly directly to the capital. We want to park and land outside the capital somewhere, maybe 5 miles away, and then walk the 5 miles, maybe through the forest or flatlands, whatever's around there. And then when we get to the capital, we can do all the capital stuff. Try to find Clover. Hopefully, I don't run into any of my kids that I may or may not have.
Kids?
I don't know. Shit, I've been living a crazy life.
Oh.
You don't use condoms. It's like 1486 right here. I don't fucking know.
It's 2292. If anything, it's 100 and something years
All
in the
kinds
future.
of itchy, and there's all sorts of sores all the time, man.
We got magic and flying spaceships. What are we gonna do with prophylactics? How are we gonna come up with that?
Zippity
there's that whole
zippity, there
monkeypox thing
goes
going
that
around.
pregnancy. No.
Yeah, there's a prestidigitation for that.
Just, yeah. You just do it the next day and you're fine.
The morning
So,
after prestidigitation.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the capital then. Sound good, everybody? Imperial City.
Mhm.
Sweet. Maybe we get your dumb eating broom fixed,
The broom doesn't eat.
or
Well,
whatever.
the coins that are stuck to it
That's
are
right.
feeding off of it.
Yeah, well, I'm also feeding the coins to try and make 2 more brooms. Like,
Fetus deletus. All right, so then we will start making our way towards the capital. Then with the ship, especially if you were, it's going to take a day to heal, but afterwards you can get it
Well,
outside of the
That's
atmosphere.
good for us to relax and get a good night's sleep.
Yeah,
so.
you're definitely going to need it for sure. So, but as far as next week, that's the 28th. Everybody good for the 28th?
I think so.
Yeah, looks good.
All right, then we'll see you guys next week.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.